Chapter 1389 Ice Thunder Bird. Chapter 1389 Ice Thunder Bird. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The cold wind was like a blade, blowing in all directions. Every step forward was extremely difficult, and his entire body was frozen stiff. His body was unable to withstand it. This won't do. Nangong Yang glanced at Long Fei, and said, "We are simply too slow. If we continue to be this slow, we will all die here." Yi Jingyun started to retreat, and said, "Young Master Long, I think we should forget about it, we can't go any further, it's too cold." His body trembled non-stop. His superior cultivation base was completely useless here. Long Fei was also aware of this, but since the both of you are here, and also on a mission, it must be completed. Both of you, leave. I'm going to pick the land flower. Nangong Yang said, "It's too dangerous, I don't know how long it will take to reach the top, but I don't know what will happen on top of the mountain, let's go." She didn't want to go up anymore. Not only her, even the people who came for the land flower all retreated. This profound peak cliff was simply not a place for humans to stay, it was too dangerous. Yi Jingyun said, "Young Master Long, let's go down first. People will really die." Long Fei did not want to give up, and there must be something strange about it. Maybe there was some kind of rare spirit treasure. With Long Fei's personality, he definitely could not miss it. "You guys can leave. I'll be fine. Hurry up, don't waste time." Long Fei saw that Yi Jingyun was almost at his limit and his lips were split open. If he did not continue, he was really going to die here. Yi Jingyun did not try to dissuade him anymore. He really could not take it anymore and said, "Young Master Long, be careful." Nangong Yang reminded him, "Be careful." The two of them quickly walked down the mountain. Huff! Long Fei let out a deep breath, his heart sank, and shouted loudly, "Demon fruit, magma, open." Boom! Burning with the holy source, Long Fei forcefully activated the magmatic fruit's power. There was no lava on his body, only a ball of white gas. The temperature here is too low. Even the demon fruit has been frozen. This is just too low of a temperature. Long Fei muttered. He turned and moved. Charge. Although the magmatic fruit could not fully unleash its power, Long Fei could still maintain the temperature of his body, so he did not feel as cold as before. However, Long Fei had to quickly go get the land flower, otherwise the temperature of the magmatic fruit would not be able to keep up. He used all his strength to rush to the top of the mountain. Amidst the thick snow, a pair of eyes was faintly discernible as it said, "It's finally here." Huff, huff. The air here seemed to have frozen over. Long Fei looked at the land flower that was in full bloom at the edge of the cliff, but it had not fully matured yet. The flower petals continued to bloom, and it still needed a little more time before it would mature. It was incomparably white. Furthermore, a thin stream the color of Shuanar Bai lingered around him. It was obvious that it was not ordinary. Long Fei did not immediately go to pick them, but carefully approached them. The closer he got to the land flower, the colder it became. F***CK. I can't care so much anymore. If this goes on, I'm really going to freeze to death. Right now, Long Fei felt that if he urinated, his urine would instantly freeze on his little brother. Not to mention peeing, shitting would cause the chrysanthemums to freeze to the point that they wouldn't even be able to get their shxt out. At this moment, he only needed one word. Fast. Long Fei did not care about the dangers around the land flower, and rushed forward to grab it. At this moment, suddenly, a group of people rushed out from the thick snow ground around them. Long Fei was extremely familiar with their clothes, it was Hellgate's clothes. Long Fei, die. Ha ha ha. Although their cultivation was restricted, they did not completely freeze or lose it. This was because they all had God's Mountain Gate's unique protective profound spirit chi. This was also the reason why they were able to stay hidden here for such a long period of time. Long Fei's expression tightened, and said solemnly, "It's all your lingering ghost of a Hell Gate again, the lesson you've received shouldn't be enough, right? Come on." Long Fei roared fiercely. His heart was filled with anxiety, because, right now, even his holy source value had been frozen, unable to release any of his techniques. He was extremely anxious. "I'm done for." Just as they made their move, the land flower had matured. A delicate fragrance wafted in the air. The surrounding aura suddenly moved, and from that thick thundercloud came a cry, "Gua!" In that instant, an icebird, which had always been large, flew out from the clouds. Without giving Long Fei time to react, it flapped its wings at Long Fei. A long series of lightning bolts was released. The thunder element was extremely dense. Moreover, there was also the incomparably cold ice elemental essence, and the two elemental energies merged into one. It's the Ice Thunder Bird. Land Flower S ha ha ha. Long Fei, this time, even if you don't die, you will still die. Kill. The old man from the Hellgate became excited. They did not need the Land Flower, they wanted Long Fei's life. This was Zhong Wushuang's order. Zhong Wushuang, who was creating a barrier in the Tower Question of God, did not seem to be related to the outside world, but he had a lot of things under his control. Long Fei was still alive. This made him extremely unhappy. Moreover, this news must not be made known to Shenyuan Li, otherwise she would give up and run out to find Long Fei. Long Fei looked at the gigantic Ice Thunderbird and was immediately startled. Damn, icebirds. Its appearance was basically the same, except that this reminder was thousands of times bigger than in the game. The attack he had released was also accompanied by the power of the destructive thunder and lightning as well as the frozen ice elemental energy. At this time, Long Fei had no way of dodging it at all. The road ahead was blocked by the Hell Gate. The sky was sealed by the Ice Thunderbird and their attacks immediately fell. At this moment, Long Fei didn't have any time to think. He grabbed the Land Flower and jumped off the cliff. Shua. Heh. Jump off the cliff. Ha ha ha. Then he's dead for sure. The Hellgate Elder laughed proudly. It was also at this moment. The Ice Thunderbird's attack fell. Rumble. Rumble. Those Hellgate disciples were also smashed flying in a split second. Just now, laughing at Long Fei for falling off the cliff meant his death. Now he also fell off the cliff. The Ice Thunderbird's eyes moved and let out a cry. Its body swooped down and it continuously spat out sharp ice pillars. Fire Unicorn. Long Fei roared. The Fire Unicorn braced herself and rushed out, but the moment he appeared in midair, all the flames on his body went out, and his body frantically fell down. The Yuan Yang Big Beast immediately reminded, "Boss, you're about to enter the death zone." Table of Contents. Table of Contents, in the dead zone. Absolute zero. A temperature that even the gods found difficult to resist. In that moment, Long Fei quickly recalled the Fire Unicorn back to the war pet space, and his heart sank. Damn, a zone of death. Then lousy will see how you die. Long Fei's body fell freely and quickly, the temperature also continued to drop. His entire body was covered in a thin layer of ice and the blood flow in his veins was slowing down. This feeling was very uncomfortable. The huge Ice Thunderbird was still in hot pursuit behind him and had no intention of letting Long Fei go. He had protected this Land Flower for 50 years, so he definitely would not allow anyone to steal it. Boom. Boom. From his mouth, sharp ice pillars continuously shot towards Xiong Long Fei. Long Fei's body in the air became a target, adding that the holy source was frozen. He could not release any of his cultivation technique's power right now. Bam. Fart. Long Fei's back hurt and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood he spat out quickly froze into a clot and fell to the ground. The temperature was too low. F***ck. Long Fei was infuriated in his heart, and he scolded out loud. Then, with a jolt in his heart, he shouted, "Enchantment." Boom. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for becoming bedeviled. You have consumed 100,000 points. In that instant, Long Fei's body instantly transformed into the child version of the devil god. Pointing his finger at the Ice Thunderbird, he asked in a deep voice, "You're the one who should be arrogant, aren't you?" Shua. With a move of his body, he instantly appeared in front of the Ice Thunderbird. His demon god of war's 9 tribulations sword finger touched the center of its eyebrows. Try spraying King Ice Pillar on this daddy again. Suddenly, something happened. The Ice Thunderbird was caught off guard, but he was not afraid. The moment the 9 tribulations sword point touched his forehead, it let out an angry cry. Crack, crack, crack. A series of lightning bolts came crashing down. Crap. I forgot that his a dual attribute thunder ice. Long Fei's heart trembled slightly. He was too close, and simply did not have time to react, as he was directly struck by the Ice Thunderbird's lightning. The lightning field erupted, and an extremely strong power of the lightning element wildly raged. Long Fei was almost electrocuted. However, Magic Body S were just Magic Body S. No matter how strong the lightning power of the Ice Thunderbird S were, their body would only receive a little bit of superficial injury. His clothes were charred and his face was jet black. He looked to be in a rather sorry state. As the saying goes, good head can be broken, hair cannot be messed up. Screw your sister. Your father is angry. Long Fei was slightly angered and immediately put away the Nine Tribulations sword. He leapt onto the head of the Ice Thunderbird and stood on top of it. You ruined my hair, you're asking for death. Boom. 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 Punches and punches crashed down heavily, as if tearing through the air. From beneath the clouds, it looked like golden light had been bombarding the heavens. He had no idea what was going on. The ice crystal above the Ice Thunderbird was smashed into pieces and it let out a painful wail, but it still did not give up. With a flap of its wings, it directly covered its entire body and also wrapped Long Fei up. In the dead zone. Absolute zero. Bringing Long Fei there meant his death. Whoosh. The abyss was like the mouth of a wild beast, swallowing everything. Boom. Young Master Long Fei. Yi Jingyun and Nangong Yang, who had escaped down the mountain, exclaimed at the same time. Both of their eyes were in a daze, their voices trembling. This kid is dead for sure. One of them revealed a sneer of disdain. Yi Jingyun immediately bellowed, and said angrily, "You're the one that F*** King dies." Humph. Yi Jingyun, is Long Fei your father? The disciple rebuked angrily. Without a word, Yi Jingyun immediately rushed forward. He is your ancestor. They quickly began to fight. Many people started ridiculing, that abyss is called the Abyss of Death, now Long Fei is dead for sure. Ha ha ha. Against the young Master Kwong, he is not a match at all. As expected of the young Master Kwong, just by strolling around for a bit, he was able to obediently send himself to his death, ha ha ha. Nangong Yang's eyes shook and he leaned his body forward. He directly landed beside the person and asked with a cold voice, "Are you saying that the news about the land flower was spread by Song Kwong?" He knew everything about the profound peak cliff since the beginning. That person was somewhat scared by Nangong Yang's stare, his body slightly shivered, and he said, I also heard about it. Damn it. Nangong Yang's heart ached. I should have confirmed the source of the news. Immediately, Nangong Yang clenched his fists tightly. Song Kwong, if anything happens to Long Fei, I will definitely not let you off. Yi Jingyun kicked that disciple who fell to the ground, and said, "What are you waiting for? Just go back and kill him." Yi Jingyun was also an irritable person. He never thought that all of this was Song Kwong's conspiracy. He was extremely unhappy, and turned and rushed towards the tower question of God's assessment grounds. As for Long Fei, the people who fell into the abyss of death had yet to come out alive. Song Kwong, I'll fuck your ancestors. Yi Jingyun quickly ran out. Nangong Yang glanced at the profound peak cliff, then turned and followed Yi Jingyun back. This matter cannot be let go like this. And then there was Long Fei. He was tightly wrapped by the Ice Thunderbird and his entire body was completely ice cold. Even the magic body could not take it any longer, and it became colder and colder. The Ice Thunderbird's voice sounded in Long Fei's mind, "Hand the land flower over, and I'll spare your life." In your dreams. The demon god's voice shouted, "Your strength is not bad, and you also have the dual element of ice and lightning. As my mount, I can spare your life." The Ice Thunderbird was enraged, and said, "Seems like you don't know the dangers of this land of death. Let me tell you, if any human falls here, they will die, and their bodies will be smashed into smithereens." The demon god sneered, "It looks like you still don't know how powerful I am. Let me tell you, you still have a choice. Otherwise, you'll die here today. Compete in arrogance." The demonic god was more arrogant than anyone else. Moreover, Right now, although the demon god was wrapped within the ice thunderbird's body, he didn't resist. He wanted to see what's so strange about this abyss of death. Absolute zero. This was the lowest temperature on Earth, the hardest temperature to find in the universe, the fatal temperature. If he were to take control of this place. In the words of you humans, you won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Since that's the case, I'll let you experience the power of the abyss of death. The ice thunderbird increased its speed and quickly dove down. Long Fei grinned, I won't shed a tear even if I see the coffin. Come at me as much as you want. Ha ha ha. Chapter 1391 Nine Dragon Coffin. Chapter 1391 Nine Dragon Coffin Buzz. He sank into the darkness. Encountering these black ripples, it was as if he had fallen into a black hole in the universe. Long Fei's devil aura was frantically being released. Cold. Extreme. In that moment, the ice thunderbird landed on the ground, spread out its wings, and transformed back into its original form. With a heavy shake, it shouted, "Prepare to die." Long Fei swung down, heavily landing on the ground. A layer of flowing mist flowed on the ground. An indescribable coldness. If it was any ordinary human, even the powerhouse on the Heavenly Emperor board would probably instantly turn into an ice sculpture the moment they landed, and their bodies would be smashed into smithereens with a light bang. But Long Fei was a magic body. His body was an existence that was incomparably strong. Furthermore, it was the body refined by heavenly tribulation, so the strength of this body could be seen from this. The ice thunderbird was startled, seeing that nothing had happened to Long Fei. He felt a little strange. At this moment, bam, 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 the disciples of the Hellgate who were falling down smashed down one by one, their bodies turned into ice sculptures in the air, and the moment they landed, they were smashed into smithereens. This was the rhythm that Long Fei should have. But Long Fei was completely fine. He could walk around freely. Long Fei touched the ground with his hand. Layer of ice? Strange, it's under the layer of ice. Who is it? Long Fei's brows twitched. He took out the Nine Tribulations sword and stabbed it into the ground. The ice thunderbird was frightened to death. It cried out, "What are you trying to do?" He was very clear that this was an ice layer. He was even more clear that the temperature below the ice layer was even colder. It was a temperature that even he could not withstand. Long Fei grinned, "Scared?" The ice thunderbird said, "You better not move, otherwise you will die here." His body slowly retreated, and he felt that the current Long Fei was extremely dangerous. Long Fei said, "If I die here, I will also invite you to be my companion, ha ha ha." Then, the demon god's power moved and poured into the Nine Tribulations sword. With a sinking force, the tip of the sword suddenly exploded and the entire surface of the ice started to crack crazily. Catcher, catcher, catcher. The cracks continued to extend. The cracking sound reached deep into the darkness. The ice thunderbird's eyes went blank. "Madman, madman, you are a madman. I don't want the land flower. Stay here and wait for your death." As they spoke, the ice thunderbird spread out its wings and was about to fly up. How could Long Fei let him leave at this time? Furthermore, this divine bird of the twin ice and lightning is a rare divine beast. How could he let it go so easily? The instant the ice thunderbird flew up to him, Long Fei grabbed its claws and pulled fiercely. "Just get down." With a sinking of his strength, the force of 1,000,000 jinn exploded forth. The ice thunderbird was brought down by Long Fei. The ice thunderbird frantically struggled, its wings flapping as it shouted, "Let go of me, quickly let go." Long Fei said, "Follow me down." The ice thunderbird said, "That is hell. How can it be hell? I don't want to go to hell with you, And at this moment, Long Fei channeled yet another strand of energy into the Nine Tribulation sword as he shouted, "Open for me. The infernal realm. It's not like I've never been there before." Rumble. The surface of the ice split open, and a huge hole appeared. At this time, the true gigantic darkness beast opened its mouth and swallowed Long Fei whole. However, Long Fei was even tightly grabbing onto a ice thunderbird. The ice thunderbird cried, "Brother, I'm begging you, please let me go. I won't dare to do it again, I don't want to die." Boom, boom, boom. In that instant, Long Fei and the Ice Thunder Bird were engulfed by the darkness. In that instant, Long Fei felt as if he had entered a strange world. The starry sky. The boundless starry sky. It was not that cold, but Long Fei felt that he was incomparably tiny within that endless chest. Where is this? Long Fei muttered as he looked up. He realized that the exit had been sealed and he was swimming in space. The Ice Thunder Bird was also stunned. Where is this? Long Fei said, "You are not a Ice Thunder Bird, aren't you very familiar with everything here? You don't know where this is." The Ice Thunder Bird said irritably, "I've never been here before, how would I know where this is? I told you not to come in, not to come in. Why did you drag me in?" Long Fei said, "It's very simple, because I want you to be my mount." The Ice Thunder Bird stared at Long Fei and said, "You want me to be your mount? Did you get water in your brain? Do you know who I am? I am the Chaos Realm's unique divine bird of ice and thunder. I am incomparably huge, At this moment, the Ice Thunder Bird had not finished. A ferocious beast immediately pounced out from the darkness, pressing the Ice Thunder Bird to the ground, its two claws fiercely slamming into the ground. Rumble. A wound instantly appeared on the Ice Thunder Bird's chest, blood gushing out crazily. This dark beast looked like a leopard, and it was shining with a black light. However, its aura was very strong, comparable to those divine powers. The Ice Thunder Bird fell to the ground in a single round. Long Fei stood at the side and laughed, "Seems like you aren't much either." The Ice Thunder Bird was careless and was tightly pressed to the ground. The black dark magician leopard furiously struck down and could no longer endure it as it cried for help. "Brother, brother, why aren't you helping me now? Aren't you incomparably noble? Aren't you unparalleled in the world, with both the ice and thunder elements? What do you need my help for?" Long Fei crossed his arms, stood at the side and teased. The Ice Thunder Bird said, "Can you not make sarcastic remarks? If it wasn't for you, how could I have come to this place?" Long Fei shrugged and said, "I like to talk sarcastically, what about it?" To dare to speak to Long Fei in such a manner at this time, was he looking for trouble? Ice Thunder Bird, "Brother, I was wrong, right?" Long Fei said, "Is it enough if it's wrong? To be my mount, to be able to be my mount is the fortune that you have accumulated for the past 8 lifetimes. This is your last chance. A devil god mount, the position of supreme expert. Not everyone could do that." The Ice Thunder Bird had no choice but to be pressured by the black dark magician leopard to the point that it couldn't breathe. If they did not agree, then they really would lose half their lives. Smart choice. Long Fei grinned, then his gaze darkened. He stared at the black dark magician leopard and said, Is that enough?" The two glowing green eyes of the black dark magician leopard suddenly stared at Long Fei. Long Fei's eyes released a ray of red light, and the powerful aura of the demon god was released from his body. Their eyes met. The black dark magician leopard was so scared that it immediately fled, not daring to linger for even a second longer. The Ice Thunder Bird crawled back up and cursed, "Don't run if you have balls." It was also at this time. Long Fei looked in the direction of the black dark magician panther. Suddenly, his scalp went numb, and an incomparably terrified image appeared in the distance. 9 Dragon Coffin. Chapter 1392, Beheading the Azure Dragon Great Ancestor. Chapter 1392, Beheading the Azure Dragon Great Ancestor 9 Dragon Coffin. The 9 green dragons that looked like they were cast out of copper were covered in chains that never changed. At the end of the chains, there was a huge bronze coffin floating in the air. Fierce. Terrifying. That kind of visual impact was something that Long Fei had never felt before. Too fierce. The magic body could not even bear it. The scene here made Long Fei think of a novel from Earth, Heaven Shrouding. This was the scene described in the book. 9 Dragon Coffin. It was abnormally intrepid, and the visual impact could crush a person's heart. The Ice Thunder Bird trembled in fear and immediately said, "Let's leave this place quickly. This place is even more terrifying than hell." The Dragon Clan was originally a large clan of the divinity. They escaped from the divinity after suffering such a huge change. The green dragon that was cast out of bronze was incomparably sinister, and at the same time, they looked like slaves. Long Fei carefully analyzed in his heart, how noble is the dragon race. Even if they were to die, they would not lower their heads, and they would not become slaves either. But everything in front of us. Long Fei stared at the huge bronze coffin. Who is lying inside? Huff. Let's go up and take a look. Long Fei forced himself to calm down and took a step forward. The Ice Thunder Bird immediately said, "If you want to die, die." "I don't want to die by going up there." 9 Dragon Coffin. This kind of scene only has one possibility. The one in the coffin must be a god. It might even be a sovereign. A light flashed in Long Fei's eyes, and he said, "God? Sovereign? Then, we can't afford to miss it." His way of thinking was completely different from ordinary people. "Are you crazy?" The Ice Thunder Bird looked at Long Fei in astonishment and said, "Let alone a sovereign, even if it was an ordinary god, we wouldn't be able to withstand it. Do you think a dead god isn't terrifying? One of his idea could rob you of your life, you can't take it at all. This place is too dangerous. Let's hurry and leave." The Ice Thunder Bird could not wait to leave. Deities were sacred beings that could not be desecrated. They were similarly terrifying existences. In a space-secret world like this, there was only one possible reason. The person in the coffin was extremely powerful. The gods of the primordial era. Its coffin cannot be touched. The more he said it, the more he wanted to know who was lying inside. And then, Long Fei said, "If you're afraid, then you can stay here by yourself, I'll go take a look." Long Fei then took a step forward and walked up. The Ice Thunder Bird muttered, "Even if you want to die, I won't stop you. I'll go find the exit myself." However, the moment Long Fei walked far away, a pair of ghastly green eyes opened in the air. It was the black dark magician panthers just now again. "Didn't you say that you wouldn't come? If I don't come, then who will collect your corpse if you die?" Long Fei laughed, and did not say much. Each of the 9 azure dragons had enormous bodies that stretched outwards for 10,000 kilometers. They were incomparably terrifying. Green Dragon ancestor Long Fei had seen it before. However, compared to these green dragons, the people of the Green Dragon ancestor were like caterpillars. This could be the Green Dragon ancestor's great ancestor, and it was even a 9-headed great ancestor. These green dragons looked like they were cast from copper water, but Long Fei felt that they were real dragons. Half an hour later, Long Fei walked in front of a green dragon, raised his head and looked, and muttered in his heart, "It's so King huge." Boom! With a huge explosion, our idea descended like a bolt of lightning. Who dares to trespass into the ancient god's coffin? Next. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of air exploding sounded out, and the green dragon seemed to come to life as both of its eyes stared straight at Long Fei, the powerful aura of a dragon exploding downwards. Rumble. Bang. He heavily smashed into Long Fei's sea of consciousness. Long Fei's body trembled slightly, and the anger in his heart burst out. Suppression? Damn you. Boom. Long Fei took a step forward, and the demon god's power erupted. The 9 tribulations sword in his hand moved, and slashed fiercely. Crack. Hualala. A huge green dragon head was chopped down. Long Fei fiercely kicked out, "Su. I hate people who use pressure the most. Is the azure dragon great ancestor that amazing?" The demon god's fury was incomparably violent, even though he was under Long Fei's control. But the demonic god's nature was incomparably wild. No matter who he faced. Even when facing against sovereigns or creator, he wouldn't lower his head in the slightest, much less submit. Arrogant. He will be even more arrogant than you. One sword cut down Qing Long's head. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a layer of power. Heh. Long Fei's heart trembled. The demon god's 9 tribulations sword also needs energy. 9 tribulations sword? What kind of power do I need to fill it up? The description of the devil god's 9 tribulations sword was not much. It only said that it could release the god's suffering force, but until now, Long Fei had not felt the so-called god's suffering force. Now that the system suddenly sounded out, Long Fei did not understand either. But now was not the time to think about it. Immediately, the 9 dragon coffin seemed to have lost its balance, as it shook violently. The Ice Thunder Bird was so scared that she almost peed her pants. She stared at Long Fei and said, You, me, you. He couldn't say it all day. The 9 tribulations sword in Long Fei's hand suddenly pointed towards the other green dragon as he shouted, Why are you acting so arrogantly for this old man here? How dare you? The 8 dragons were infuriated. The pressure from the Azure Dragon's great ancestor crushed down one after another, as if layers of heavenly power were crushing down. Boom, boom, boom. It was as if the world was being destroyed, and the entire starry sky was shaking. However, with every wave of pressure, Long Fei would raise his sword and slash down. He asked solemnly, Is the Azure Dragon great ancestor powerful? Swish. If you provoke this demon god, your 18 generations of ancestors will kill you all. A sword fell down. One by one, the Azure Dragon great leaders fell down. The sound of system beeps rang out one after another. 9 tribulation swords' energy filled to the 9th layer. Long Fei's gaze swept across them, and looked at the 9 dragon coffin, sneering, Is it fun to have your head fall off? The Ice Thunder Bird's eyes went blank. Crazy, he's completely crazy. If it was Long Fei, he might not be able to do this, but he was a magic body now, and demonic god blood flowed deep in his bones. He did not care about anything in the world. So what if it was 9 heads of the Azure Dragon clan? He would step on it. Of course. This was also because the 9 heads of the Azure Dragon great ancestor was only a physical body, and they had already died countless years ago, leaving behind only the tiniest bit of idea. If they were still alive, did he want to kill them? It was impossible. Long Fei stood on top of a dragon and looked at the huge bronze coffin in the distance, saying slightly, It's your turn. Chapter 1393, Sleeping Beauty. Chapter 1393, Sleeping Beauty. The 9 heads were cut off. His body was still floating in the air, unmoving as he pulled on the bronze coffin. It was as if he would not dare to move even after death. From the voice of the idea of the Azure Dragon great ancestor, Long Fei looked at the coffin in the distance. Ancient god? What kind of god is this? Never heard of it. Ice Thunder Bird said, Ancient god. Ancient god? Is it very strong? Long Fei had never heard of it before, but there were quite a few online novels on Earth that had people with similar names. What Arceus world? The Ice Thunder Bird really wanted to ruthlessly beat Long Fei up a few times, and said, Ancient God was once the #1 god in the entire universe, and also, he was the one who founded the ancient era, but it's been gone for a long time now. Rumor has it. In the ancient realm, all of them are divine-level powerhouses. Their powers are strong enough to overthrow the entire divinity, or even the stronger main temple S. Do you think is strong? It was all created by the ancient god himself. It's simply ridiculously strong. The Ice Thunderbird was extremely excited. Although he wanted to see if the one inside the coffin was the ancient god, he valued his life more. The Ice Thunderbird said, Brother, let's go, let's hurry up and go. Don't look at who's inside, it doesn't matter what ancient god or the Low Valley god, it is more important for us to leave this place. He didn't want to stay a moment longer. Moreover, he felt extremely insecure when he was with Long Fei. He could be in dire straits at any time. Long Fei became more and more interested, to be able to create a plane, train all of the people in the plane into gods, and overturn the existence of the main temple. This F***CK. This must be a fucking calling story, right? Long Fei grinned. Since he is so powerful, why did he fall? The Ice Thunder Bird said, I don't know about that. In any case, the ancient world has disappeared and the ancient god will also disappear forever. This is something that happened billions of years ago. Don't talk so much now, can you get off the dragon's back? Long Fei said, who cares if he's an primordial god or not, just go up and take off the lid of his coffin. Then, Long Fei quickly flew over. The Ice Thunder Bird could not stop shouting. Boom. 10 minutes later, Long Fei stood on top of the bronze coffin. The Ice Thunder Bird's body was trembling as she muttered a prayer. God as a witness, I did my best to persuade him to stop. Everything he did has nothing to do with me at all, it really has nothing to do with me at all. Long Fei looked at the ancient runes on the bronze coffin. He had seen many runes, but he had never seen these runes before. Long Fei's feet trembled, and he said faintly, "Your ancient god." The air exploded. At this moment, the surroundings were densely packed with black dark magician panthers, all of them releasing ferocious low roars from their throats. Their two eyes were staring straight at Long Fei, as if they were going to tear Long Fei apart at any moment. Long Fei swept his gaze across them, shouted in a deep voice, and said, "Scram far away for me, I don't have time to take care of you right now." Then, Long Fei made a grasping motion with his right hand and a stream of power was released, immediately causing the lid of the coffin to fly out. The Ice Thunder Bird closed her eyes in fear, not daring to look at Long Fei again. Long Fei floated in mid-air, his eyes sinister looking at the coffin. "A woman?" The Ice Thunder Bird was startled. "What did you say?" Inside the coffin lay a lifelike woman who seemed to have fallen asleep. She was an extremely beautiful woman, indescribably beautiful. No flaws were found. Perfect. Jojo was very beautiful. The leopard girl was very wild and gentle. The big sister fairy was very beautiful. Long Fei had many women, all of them were beautiful beyond compare. However, none of them were as beautiful as the woman in front of them. Sleeping Beauty. It was so beautiful that people didn't dare to have any profane thoughts, making them feel suffocated. That skin, that appearance, Long Fei felt like kneeling down and kowtowing. "With such beauty, do you still want to let me live?" Other than a sleeping beauty, there was nothing else in the coffin. Not even a funeral. Is this the ancient god? Archaic poor deities are more or less the same. Long Fei had thought that the coffin was filled with super holy artifacts and the like, but now, it was just a woman. What a disappointment. Moreover, and she was a dead woman, which made it all the more boring. Didn't you just say that the ancient god could create planes and cultivate countless divine-level powerhouse? You didn't know he was a woman? Long Fei shivered, feeling that it was meaningless. The Ice Thunder Bird was a little confused. "Woman, it can't be. Ancient god is a man, why would it be a woman?" Long Fei said, "Where exactly did you hear all this?" The Ice Thunder Bird said, "I heard it from a wandering Taoist. At that time, I was still young, but his words were exciting. Your sister, that Taoist Yu Fang is a storyteller, right?" Long Fei muttered, and turned to look at the lifelike woman, and said, "I had thought that the Nine-Dragon Coffin was such an amazing person, just a woman, it's so boring." Then, Long Fei was just about to leave. A woman, a dead woman, Long Fei was not too interested in her. Just as he was about to leave, he suddenly felt the woman moving her fingers. In that moment, Long Fei's hair stood on end, and his palms broke out in cold sweat. Don't tell me he wants to swindle a corpse. Billions of years of dead bodies. What kind of big F asterisk king dumpling is this? Long Fei became cautious. However, at this time, when the Ice Thunder Bird heard that it wasn't an ancient god, he became crazy and said, "Nine-Dragon Coffin, if it isn't an ancient god pulling a woman, then this woman is definitely not simple. She might have a divine spark in her body." A divine spark. Long Fei was shocked. Ice Thunder Bird said, "Yes, a divine spark. A divine spark can change a person's life in an instant, and you don't even have to go to the divinity, you can be placed in the divine class and enter the main temple. This is a great opportunity." Speaking of divine sparks, the surrounding black dark magician leopard's eyes became even more sinister. The Ice Thunder Bird flew to Long Fei's side and said excitedly, "How about we dig out the divine spark?" "I'll dig your ass out." Long Fei smacked the Ice Thunder Bird on its head and knocked it on the head, causing a big bag to appear. "It's already dead, do you still want to steal its corpse? The dead are the biggest, have you never heard of this before? To a divine spark." Long Fei also wanted to, but it wouldn't be good if such a beautiful woman tore her body apart. The Ice Thunder Bird was beaten up and muttered, "I was just casually saying that. Don't take it seriously." And then, Long Fei grabbed with his right hand and grabbed the lid of the coffin, then looked at the woman in the coffin and said, "Sorry about that, let's continue sleeping." Just as the lid of the coffin was about to close, buzz, the woman's eyes abruptly opened. Sis 1394, can you not be like this? Sis 1394, can you not be like this? Young Master Kwong, everything was as you expected. That brat, Long Fei, fell into the abyss of death, but those Hellgates also fell into the abyss. A disciple reported with a smile. Song Kwong laughed coldly and said, all right. Against me? This is what happens to you, ha ha ha. Song Kwong laughed out loud. As for the Hellgate, we don't need to care about them. And then, Song Kwong said, I need to leave for a moment. Not long later, Song Kwong arrived at an extremely remote corner of the examination grounds and saw a young figure standing there with his hands behind his back. He stood at the edge of the cliff and looked at the sky not far away. Master, everything was as you expected. Long Fei fell into the abyss. Song Kwong was very careful. He did not dare be disrespectful in the slightest. The man slightly turned around. Zhon Wushuang. Zhon Wushuang smiled slightly. Very good. This is for you. Zhon Wushuang flung out his right hand, throwing out a space ring as he said, the things inside are enough for you to take all the exams that come next. Song Kwong was ecstatic. He immediately kneeled on the ground and said, thank you, Master. Zhon Wushuang laughed coldly as he thought in his heart, Long Fei, no matter how fast you grow, it's useless. Leah is mine, and everything she has is mine. While they were talking, Zhon Wushuang's body disappeared. Song Kwong slowly stood up, opened the door of the space ring S and looked. He was incomparably excited as he said, ha ha ha. This time, the victory is certain. In another place, Song Kwong, get the hell out here. Yi Jingyun was infuriated beyond compare as he returned to the entrance of the tower question of Goddess, heading straight for Song Kwong's residence. How dare you? Damn, I think he's tired of living. Young Master Kwong, do you want me to teach him a lesson? Song Kwong truly researched the good stuff within the space ring. He took out a set of holy artifacts from the space ring, flickering with blue light. Holy artifact, that's the holy artifact. What a powerful strength. Song Kwong waved it a few times, shouted, and said, let him in. Watch the door while you're at it. I'm going to teach him a lesson. The corner of Song Kwong's mouth drew back and he laughed coldly. Yi Jingyun, this old man has not liked you for a long time. Yi Jingyun rushed into the courtyard. The door to the courtyard closed. Song Kwong laughed coldly. With Yi Jingyun shouting so loudly, could it be that your master has died? Yi Jingyun stared at the complacent Song Kwong. Without saying a word, he punched out. A powerful force burst out, suppressing Song Kwong completely. Song Kwong, give me your life. Humph. The corner of Song Kwong's mouth drew back, laughed coldly, and said, if it was in the past, I might not be able to do anything to you, but now. The blue flame divine sword moved, and a blue sword beam shot out. He directly crushed all the chi on Yi Jingyun's body, pierced through Yi Jingyun's chest with his sword, and kicked him out, sending him flying. Bam! Song Kwong laughed coldly, and said, trash. Yi Jingyun looked at the blue divine sword in Song Kwong's hand, holy artifact. Song Kwong laughed, not bad, you're quite knowledgeable, and you actually know that it's a holy artifact. Yi Jingyun said, so what if you're a holy artifact? You despicable, sinister, and vile person, you have plotted against the young Master Long. Someone like you is not fit to participate in the tower question of God's test. Finished. Yi Jingyun crazily rushed forward again. Song Kwong laughed out loud, and said, sinister and despicable? Designing a trap. Ha ha ha. These are just excuses for the weak. Yi Jingyun's world is focused on strength, do you understand? Idiot. As his voice fell, the blue flame's divine sword in his hand moved again, completely sealing off Yi Jingyun's attack. Bam! Bam! Blood gushed out of his thigh after 3 consecutive blows. Yi Jingyun was unable to stand steadily, and his body staggered as he continuously retreated. At this moment, the door burst open, and Nangong Yang rushed in. Seeing Yi Jingyun's entire body covered in blood, his eyes sunk, staring straight at Song Kwong. A lot of disciples also rushed into the yard to watch the show. An evil smile surfaced on Song Kwong's face as he stared at Nangong Yang's chest and said, Nangong Yang, how about you be my woman from today onwards? I guarantee that I'll let you pass the examination. Ha ha ha. Nangong Yang moved his body, and thrusted his sword forward. Song Kwong laughed complacently, and said, it's your fortune that this father has taken a liking to you. Don't be so f** king shameless. The blue flame divine sword in his hand moved, and an extremely strong aura of holy artifact crazily pressed over, directly sealing Nangong Yang's attack. At this moment, the sword chi moved. After slicing open the clothes on Nangong Yang's chest, her snow-white skin was exposed. Wow! So big, so white. Everyone, quickly take a look. It's really big. Everyone laughed. Nangong Yang's face did not change as he stared at the holy artifact in Song Kuang's hand. Song Kuang stared at Nangong Yang's white chest and laughed. Come again, this time. His gaze slowly moved downwards, and finally stopped at the bottom of Nangong Yang's thigh. A lewd smile surfaced at the corner of his mouth, and he said, Nangong Yang, if you accompany me properly tonight, I will make you comfortable. Shut up. Nangong Yang rushed forward. She was very strong. However, her power was the power of an evil demon, so she could not be used here. She had experienced too many things. She wouldn't lose her composure just because her clothes were cut open. She definitely couldn't use the evil power in her body. Sure, Song Kuang attacked with his sword. His face had a frivolous smile. Put your pants down for me. At this moment, a wave of power came crashing down and shouted, enough. The Yi Seng descended. The god power was released and bounced Song Kuang and Nangong Yang away. Staring at the holy artifact in Song Kuang's hand, Yi Seng frowned and changed the topic. Who dares to move? No matter what the reason is, a personal duel within the assessment department will result in the disqualification of the examinees. Song Kuang retracted his sword and said, Elder, they are the ones who have rushed in front of me. Yi Seng stared at Nangong Yang and said, Why aren't you leaving yet? Song Kuang laughed coldly. Yi Jingyun stared at Song Kuang and said, Song Kuang, this matter is not over. When Young Master Long comes back, let's see how he will take care of you. Back? Do you think those who fell into the abyss of death can come back? Song Kuang laughed complacently, ha ha ha. Yi Seng's brows tightened, abyss of death. He sighed in his heart, what a pity. In another place. Leave, I really don't know you. Are you going or not? Sis, I'm begging you, stop hugging my leg. Look at me, I'm not that child demon god, I'm just an ordinary person. Sis, can you not be like this? Within the mountain forest, a gigantic ice thunder bird followed behind Long Fei. Moreover, his thigh was hugged by a peerless beauty. This woman was the sleeping beauty of the nine-dragon coffin. Chapter 1395, The God of Elements. Chapter 1395, The God of Elements. The nine-dragon coffin was pulling a woman who was in a deep sleep for who knows how many years. He suddenly woke up. Long Fei panicked a little, and thought to himself, Big dumpling exploding to death, what the hell is this? The ice thunder bird was also frightened. After all, he was a nine-dragon coffin, so he must be some super powerful being. If he were to suddenly open his eyes and wake up, wouldn't that mean his world would be turned upside down and not even a blade of grass would grow? However, unexpectedly, when the sleeping beauty saw Long Fei, it immediately grabbed onto his leg without letting go, like a child who was afraid of being thrown away again. Long Fei couldn't shake him off no matter how hard he tried. Too deadly. Sis, can you not be like this? Can we walk properly? Long Fei wanted to cry, but there was no tears at all. The sleeping beauty asked with its mouth wide open, You won't run away anymore, right? Run. When it came to running, Long Fei had the urge to cry. This girl's speed is simply too fast. Invincible, at least 10 times stronger than him. Want to run? He probably wouldn't be able to win in this life. After running out twice in a row, Long Fei thought that she had lost her life, but she was just waiting for him in front of her. Long Fei said, I swear to the heavens, I will never run again. I can't run away from you either. Who the hell are you? Long Fei was puzzled. Logically speaking, the ancient god should not be a woman, right? Then who was she? To be able to lie in a nine-dragon coffin, she was definitely not simple. The sleeping beauty tilted her head and thought for a long time before shaking her head, I don't know who I am. You woke me up. You should know who I am. Long Fei said, You don't even know who you are, how would I know? Sigh. How could a woman, who didn't even know who she was, be an ancient god? The Ice Thunderbird's face was also filled with suspicion as she said, "This woman is very problematic." Long Fei glared at it, and said, "Didn't you say he is an ancient god? Didn't you say that he created the ancient era? You're saying there's a problem? You hammer." Long Fei really wanted to ruthlessly beat the Ice Thunderbird a few times. If his words did not sound so good, Long Fei would not have held much hope. Now, she was just a little enchantress. The Sleeping Beauty said, "You don't know who I am? Then who am I? That's not right. You woke me up, so you definitely know who I am. Since I don't care, I'll follow you. Wherever you go, I'll go. Don't even think about getting rid of me." He looked like he was determined to follow Long Fei. He had to say it. She was really beautiful. If such a girl was placed outside, her beautiful appearance would be enough to shock the entire Chaos Realm, but can a beauty be eaten as a meal? Moreover, what Long Fei needed right now was not a woman, but a level. Huff. Long Fei exhaled a long breath, looked at the color of the sky, and said, "It's impossible to go back today. Set up a bonfire." Long Fei sat beside the bonfire, grabbed his arm, and fell asleep while leaning on his shoulder. Her body was very light. His body was emitting a faint body fragrance, which was intoxicating. The Ice Thunderbird whispered, "What do we do now?" Long Fei asked, "What else can we do? I can't possibly leave her alone in the wilderness, right? Right. Aren't you the guard divine beast of the land flower? Take the land flower." Long Fei took out the land flower. This kind of ultimate spirit grass was indeed good stuff. It could raise the quality of the pills, and could basically let him pass the test without using old Lord Taishang's power. However, the Ice Thunderbird was now a devil godmount and was also his brother. Long Fei would naturally not be stingy about it. However, the instant Long Fei took out the land flower, the Sleeping Beauty suddenly woke up. Before the Ice Thunderbird could be moved, the Sleeping Beauty snatched the land flower away before him. She stared blankly and said, This. Boss, what do you care?" The Sleeping Beauty took the land flower and said, "Land flower, also known as Di Ling Hua. It matures once every 50 years, and is a spiritual treasure of heaven and earth." Then, the Sleeping Beauty idea moved. He dug a small hole and buried the land flower inside. The Ice Thunderbird was immediately dumbfounded, and said, "If he touches the soil, he will instantly wither, and this land flower will be completely wasted. After being harvested by the land flower, it would never come into contact with dirt again, otherwise, the flower would be ruined. It was completely useless." The Ice Thunderbird wanted to stop her, but was stopped by Long Fei. Because the Sleeping Beauty looked very serious, her body emitted a very strange kind of power. The land flower was buried in the pit. Just as the Ice Thunderbird had said, the land flower quickly wilted and withered, turning into a withered, dead flower. It's over. The land flower I guarded for 50 years was gone just like that. Sigh. My earth elemental essences. It seems that I'll never be able to successfully train in it in this lifetime. The Ice Thunderbird sighed to the sky, feeling terrible pain. However, at that moment, a strange scene occurred. The tender shoots around the Sleeping Beauty began to sprout out of the ground one by one, and they slowly spread their leaves at a speed visible to the naked eye. In a short 10 minutes, more than 10 mature land flower appeared in front of Long Fei. Damn! In this instant, Long Fei was dumbstruck, and thought in his heart, I've struck it rich. He's really F*** king rich. Ha ha ha. Is this your ability? Long Fei was extremely excited. A land flower was a top-grade spirit grass. This kind of spirit grass would take 50 years to grow, but the Sleeping Beauty took only 10 minutes. What kind of concept was this? Moreover, she had turned a spirit grass into 10 stalks. Wasn't it about to be released? The Ice Thunderbird also could not believe what had just happened. It looked at Long Fei, dumbstruck, and asked, Boss, am I dreaming? The Sleeping Beauty giggled and said, This spirit grass contains earth elemental energy. As long as you have enough earth elemental energy, it can grow quickly. Ample amounts of earth elemental essence. In this mountain range, Even the most powerful of earth elementals would not be able to cultivate 10 land flower in 10 minutes. As Long Fei looked at the sleeping beauty, he started to become uncontrollably excited in his heart. Staring blankly at the sleeping beauty, she said, You can't be the elemental god, right? The ice bird stared blankly at the sleeping beauty and said, Someone who can enrich the earth element is probably the elemental god. Damn. This is too outrageous, isn't it? The sleeping beauty mumbled, The elemental god? What is the elemental god? She had a puzzled look on her face. She had no idea what elemental energy was, and certainly had no idea what the elemental god was. Long Fei grinned excitedly, From today onwards, you will follow me. The sleeping beauty immediately nodded and said heavily, En. Chapter 1396 Song Kuang, You are very arrogant. Chapter 1396 Song Kuang, You are very arrogant. Early morning, the training field. Ha ha ha. Countless sounds of ridicule came from the results board. Another 0. He scored 0 again. He really broke a record. There has never been anyone who scored 0 in 2 consecutive rounds. What a wonder. On the cloth screen, Long Fei's assessment in Punish Evil Secret Territory was still 0. Very strange. 0 is no longer important. That brat Long Fei already died in the abyss of death, it could also be considered as him creating history. Ha ha ha. It's the lowest record in history, and it's a record no one can surpass, ha ha ha. Everyone laughed out loud. Song Kuang's face was full of pride, and he laughed coldly, You dare to be arrogant with me, come again. Humph. He rushed in front of the Oracle and said, Did you make a mistake? The elders of Yi Seng had announced it the day before yesterday, so Long Fei's result should have been perfect. He should have reached 100 points, it shouldn't have been 0. Nangong Yang also did not understand. The oracle did not respond. Yi Jingyun became even more furious and said, Shouldn't you give me an explanation? The eyes of the oracle moved, and he shouted, Why should I give you an explanation? Who do you think you are? I'm warning you, if you dare to continue to clamor here, don't blame us for being impolite. Yi Jingyun also shouted out loud, For 100 points to become 0, shouldn't you give an explanation? You still dare to clamor? Looking for a beating? A oracle suddenly roared, he suddenly made his move, and punched Yi Jingyun in the abdomen. Bam! Yi Jingyun was pushed back dozens of meters consecutively, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Adding the sword wound yesterday, his entire body was on the verge of collapse. Serves you right. He really doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Well fought. Yi Jingyun, even if Long Fei dies, even if he gets 1,000 points, what use is it? What honor is there for a dead man? Ha ha ha. Song Kuang laughed coldly, and said, Yi Jingyun, you want to stand up for your master, ah. Unfortunately, you're too inexperienced. All sorts of mocking laughter rang out. Yi Jingyun was extremely unhappy, he clenched his fists tightly. Song Kuang looked at his furious expression and said, You're not convinced. If you're not convinced, don't stay here. Go home and drink your mother's milk, ha ha ha. Yi Jingyun said, Song Kuang, you want to urge me to leave her? Young Master Long's death is related to you, I will definitely take revenge on you, just you wait. Yi Jingyun rarely worshipped a person. Long Fei was the first. This matter was obviously Song Kuang's scheme, he had to take revenge. Song Kuang sneered, With just you. Yesterday you were like a dead dog, and you even dared to be arrogant in front of me. Enough. Just then, the Yi Seng descended from the sky. Nangong Yang immediately walked forward and said, Elder, why did Long Fei's score become 0? You said yesterday that his score had reached a perfect 100. Yi Seng also wanted to know, so after the results came out, he immediately made a trip to the Tower Question of God. He did not get any answer. Just one sentence and everything will be decided by the results on the bulletin board. In other words, I don't need any reasons to give you 0 points. This was how overbearing he was. Yi Seng frowned and shook his head slightly. He then said, I am not too sure why my results changed. This is the result of the audit. Forget it. I'm afraid the odds are against Long Fei falling into the abyss of death. Is everyone here? Yi Seng sighed in his heart and felt pity for Long Fei. He had fought for Long Fei before, but it was useless. One of the oracles answered, reporting to the elders, other than the one who died and Long Fei who did not appear, everyone else is here. Yi Seng slightly nodded and said, all right, then let's prepare for the third round of the examination. Nangong Yang said, Elder, let's wait a little longer. Long Fei will definitely rush back, he definitely will not die so easily. She was very familiar with Long Fei. No matter what kind of predicament he encountered, he would be able to come back alive. In Fireglass City, he had walked from a broken pubis to this day not because of luck but because of his strength. She had always believed that Long Fei was still alive. Ha ha ha. Still alive. Nangong Yang, is something wrong with your brain? Do you want me to give you a general understanding of the land of death? Song Kuang laughed in disdain, and said, whoever goes in there won't be able to return alive. Yi Jingyun immediately rebuked angrily, so you plan to frame Long Fei? Song Kuang naturally would not admit it, and said, Yi Jingyun, don't slander others, I did not let him go to the profound peak cliff, you were the ones who told him to go. Nangong Yang frowned. This matter was indeed something that she had allowed Long Fei to do. But she could not have imagined that the place was so dangerous. At this time, a disciple shouted, Elder, there is no need to wait for a dead person. Exactly. Let's begin. Our time is not for waiting for the dead. Clan Elder, this kind of person is not qualified to participate in the examination. Quite a few people started shouting. It didn't matter if the exam was 0. But if you are absent, that would be equivalent to being eliminated, and there would never be a second chance. As long as the third round of examination began and Long Fei was unable to show up on time, even if he was absent, he would be eliminated of the competition. Regardless of whether or not Long Fei was dead, Song Kuang did not want to give him another chance to crawl back up. If he lost an opponent, he gained an extra bit of hope. Moreover, in the future, when he becomes a Tower Question of God, he will have a lot of methods to deal with a small Long Fei. Yi Seng frowned and said, wait another 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, it's about to begin. Song Kuang laughed coldly, looked at Nangong Yang and said, Nangong Yang, that brat has already died, and you should give up on me. How about this? Let's make an extra bet. If I win, you'll be my woman. If I lose, I won't bother you anymore. What do you say? Nangong Yang coldly looked at Song Kuang, and said, if you lose, you will kneel in Long Fei's courtyard and kowtow and admit your mistake. The corner of Song Kuang's mouth raised slightly, and said, no problem. One of the lackeys beside him said in a low voice, young Master Kuang. Song Kuang smiled faintly and said, relax, I'm definitely going to win. The alchemy technique was his strong point, but it was still not his absolute win. The one he won was the spirit grass among all the space ring that Zhon Wushuang gave him. High-leveled spirit grass. Time flowed on. In the blink of an eye, 10 minutes had passed. Song Kuang laughed, I say that trash has died, at least we can start now. Even if he didn't die, he was still absent for the assessment. This kind of person who despises Tower Question of God should be eliminated and never have the chance to participate in the assessment again. At this moment, in the distance, Long Fei slowly walked over, and lightly smiled, Song Kuang, you're very arrogant. Chapter 1397. I feel like I'm omnipotent. Chapter 1397. I feel like I'm omnipotent. As his voice faded, the entire martial arts practice field shook violently. Everyone looked behind them. Young Master Long Fei. Nangong Yang was especially excited, and his eyes became moist. This time, the reason why Long Fei went out to find the spirit grass was because she was the one who brought it with her. She blamed herself in her heart when something had happened to Long Fei, but now, seeing that Long Fei had returned safe and sound, she felt hot tears welling up in her eyes. Yi Jingyun immediately ran over and said excitedly, it's back, did you see it, it's back. Seeing Yi Jingyun's limping steps, Long Fei's brows tightened, and said, your injury. Yi Jingyun replied, I'm fine. Long Fei stared at Song Kuang. Song Kuang's eyes slightly narrowed as he muttered in a low voice, Impossible, impossible, there's no reason. People who fall into the dead zone can never come back alive. Are you sure he fell? Song Kwong stared at the minions beside him and asked. The lackey said, I saw him fall with my own eyes. I don't know how I got back alive. Long Fei walked into the group. Yi Jingyun said in a low voice, Young Master Long, I don't know why your second round of the examination scores went 0. I'm afraid someone above is targeting you. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, Isn't it just a 0? There's no need to worry. With 2 matches with 0 points, he was on the verge of being eliminated. If a student's result from the 3rd round was less than 95, then he would not need to scream miserably for the 4th round and be eliminated from the competition. Song Kwong stared at Long Fei and laughed coldly, saying, Long Fei, you're finally back. Long Fei said, I'm back. You don't seem to be happy. Right, did you reconnect your fingers? Song Kwong clenched his fists tightly, the anger in his heart surging. He immediately laughed. You're back, I'm very happy. If not, how would I trample you under my feet? Aya. I feel a bit embarrassed to step on someone with the lowest score. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The people around him began to laugh. Yi Jingyun was enraged. She wanted to rush up, but was stopped by Long Fei, and said indifferently, Seems like your fingers are itching again. All right. The Yi Seng stopped the argument and said, Everyone is here. Next, we will proceed with the 3rd round of examination, the alchemy assessment. In any plane of existence, the uses of pills are incomparably great. Be it in this chaos realm, or when you enter the tower question of God, or even when you enter the ancient holy battlefield one day, you will need powerful pills to support you. The pills were refined with extra points, so I hope that you can take it seriously. The effects of the pill were immense. A good pill could even change the outcome of a battle. And then, Yi Seng slightly said, I will give you 3 days. For these 3 days, I hope that you can completely grasp the alchemy technique and take the examination 3 days later. There is no one here to teach you. You can only rely on yourselves. Release the pill furnaces. There was a buffer of time for the pill examination. Song Kwong stared at Long Fei and laughed. 3 days later, I will trample you to death. Long Fei said, Since you are that confident, then don't go for 3 days. How about it? Song Kwong laughed complacently. You want to compete in alchemy with me? Ha ha ha. Are you in such a hurry to be trampled by me? Then Laozi will help you. Cough, cough. Yi Seng's eyes turned cold. He coughed and said, Did you not hear what I just said clearly? For the assessment 3 days from now, you must properly grasp the alchemy technique. And then, the Yi Seng sent a sound transmission to Long Fei, and said, The Song family is a clan of alchemy, and Song Kwong's alchemy technique has reached the realm of Great Grandmaster. If you want to teach them a lesson and stay here, then the 3rd round of examination will have to be held with 95 points, understand? Someone is targeting you up there. You must be careful not to get caught in any of these steps. Otherwise, even Elder Wang will not be able to protect you. Moreover, you will implicate her. The Yi Seng warned Long Fei. In the past, no one put Long Fei in their eyes. However, this time, for some reason, the entire tower question of God's power seemed to be targeting Long Fei. Not only the elders of the tower question of God, even the Saint Presbyter guarding the divine pagoda also rejected Long Fei. Because Zhon Wushuang. It's not hard to see from the test scores. He had clearly achieved a perfect result, even better than Zhon Wushuang's. However, he had unexpectedly achieved 0 points, and for no reason at all. This was a blatant provocation. Long Fei replied, Thank you for the elder's reminder, I will be careful. If you can see Elder Wang, please tell her, I will definitely not disappoint her. Then, Long Fei returned to his residence with the pill furnace. Yi Jingyun and Nangong Yang wanted to follow along, but were stopped by Long Fei, and said, The 2 of you must improve your alchemy technique well in these 3 days. If there are any questions on the alchemy technique, you can ask me. There's 1 hour of communication every night. You can come over at that time, but the rest of the time, just focus on your cultivation. The look in Long Fei's eyes were all different. Nangong Yang felt that Long Fei felt that he had become more serious. 2 0 points in one match, and another 0 points in another match. Long Fei was indifferent to the results, but he absolutely could not accept being relegated. He didn't want to disappoint this big sister fairy. The two of them left. Long Fei closed the door, took out the pill furnace and gently exhaled. 3 days, I want to bring the level increase of the alchemy technique to the great perfection state. And then, the idea moved. Long Fei took out his pill furnace. At this moment, the Sleeping Beauty uncontrollably ran out from Long Fei's space ring and gasped for breath. We're finally out. Under normal circumstances, living beings would basically not be able to enter the space ring, but the Sleeping Beauty was a special beast. Before he even finished speaking, he had already hugged Long Fei's arm and stuck it onto his body. He giggled and said, "Do you miss me, Master?" "Master?" Long Fei was startled, and asked, "Who taught you?" The Sleeping Beauty giggled and said, "I learned it myself." Then, he looked at the pill furnace in Long Fei's hand and said, "Alchemy furnace, such a low level. This kind of alchemy furnace can at most refine third-grade pills. If it is more, it will explode." Long Fei looked at the Sleeping Beauty in shock and said, "You even know alchemy?" The Sleeping Beauty thought about it for a moment and said, "I don't know. I just feel that I'm omnipotent." Long Fei's eyes widened as he muttered, "Can you not be so arrogant?" She wasn't acting cool. She was really awesome. In another place, in the remote back mountain of the examination grounds, Song Kuang kneeled on the ground and said, "Master, I really didn't expect him to return alive. He is my deathland." I. Zhong Wushuang said coldly, "All right, there's no need to say any more. There's only one thing you need to do right now. You must firmly step on him in the alchemy assessment, so that he won't get his 95 points." Song Kuang immediately said, "Master, don't worry, I will definitely win in alchemy assessment." Zhong Wushuang's eyes became cold, and said, "In these 3 days, I will have an elder guide you, allowing your alchemy technique to reach an even higher realm, and also." Chapter 1398, Crazy Rise. Chapter 1398, Crazy Rise. Long Fei was not allowed to enter the Tower Question of God. Zhong Wushuang would definitely not let him enter, because he did not want Shenyuan Li to know that he was still alive. He didn't want Long Fei to affect her. Thus, he would use all connections to ruthlessly trample Long Fei. Ding. Proficiency plus 10 points. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for his alchemy technique. Current level 3. Damn. Just 1 rank for half an hour. Isn't that a bit too fast? Long Fei secretly clicked his tongue as he looked at the Sleeping Beauty who was leaning on his shoulder. He was a little confused. What could omnipotence be? What is the elemental god? Long Fei was finding it harder and harder to understand the Sleeping Beauty. Sometimes, Long Fei even had a feeling that the Sleeping Beauty was the ancient god. Because no one had seen it, nor did anyone know the gender of the archaic deity. What if she really was a woman? Just by herself leaning on his body, Long Fei's alchemy technique proficiency would change from 1 point every time to 10 points every time. It had to be said that this woman was really too mysterious, too sharp. Moreover, the alchemy technique she mentioned was the same as gobbledygook's. Long Fei did not understand a single word she said. It was not that she was blabbering nonsense, but that Long Fei's level was not high enough. Continue. Ding. Proficiency plus 10 points. Ding. Proficiency plus 10 points. Ding. Proficiency plus 10 points. Long Fei continuously trained, and the proficiency of the alchemy technique continuously rose. This time, Long Fei was very serious, and did not take the previous 2 exams seriously. Now that someone was going to target him and someone was trying to stop him, Long Fei would naturally not let them go. Moreover, he guessed who was stopping him. Zhong Wushuang. He was the person with the best results since the start of the Tower Question of God test. Countless elders held him in high regard, and some even the Tower Lord of Tower Question of God had taken a fancy to him. People who were destined to be sent to the ancient holy battlefield, these kind of people could possibly bring unparalleled honor and glory to the Chaos Realm's Tower Question of God, and they could also receive even more rewards. Thus, anyone who obstructed Zhong Wushuang was their enemy. The more you hinder me, The more I want to kill you one by one. Zhong Wushuang. I was no match for you before, but now, I'm here. Long Fei steeled his heart and continued to cultivate his alchemy technique. 3 days in a row. Long Fei was always crazily raising his alchemy technique, and at the same time, combining it with his own comprehension, he would slowly comprehend the guidance of the Sleeping Beauty. Every time he comprehended clearly, the speed at which Long Fei cultivated the alchemy technique would increase. Tonight, Yi Jingyun shared his experiences with Nangong Yang, helping them to understand their doubts. Song Kuang was also training non-stop. In his room was the Hall Master of the Tower Question of Goddess Alchemy Hall, who also possessed the most alchemy. In the entire Chaos Realm, he was also the pinnacle of alchemist. With his guidance, Song Kuang also improved by leaps and bounds. His alchemy's speed, technique, and quality of the medicinal pellets were all increased by leaps and bounds. Long Fei. Just wait and moan at my feet, ha ha ha. Song Kuang laughed out wildly. He was 100% sure that he could win against Long Fei this time. Don't let your guard down. You'd better not mess up young Master Wushuang's matter, or else. The Pavilion Master said calmly. Song Kuang immediately said, I will definitely get Long Fei out of here. The Pavilion Master replied flatly, that's for the best. He was also extremely confident. The Song family was an alchemy family, and Song Kuang had a very unique comprehension of alchemy, which could be easily comprehended with just a few techniques. It could be said that in the future, he would definitely be able to reach the peak of Chaos Realm's alchemy. Oh right, what happened to Long Fei during the past few days? Song Kuang replied, close door. With his level of alchemy, even if he was given another 100 years, he still wouldn't be able to surpass me. Master, rest assured, I will definitely be able to defeat him. The assessment is tomorrow. How are your equipment? Long Fei asked. Yi Jingyun laughed. Young Master Long, you can rest assured. In the past, I did not dare say anything, but now, I am fine with it. Nangong Yang replied, I have no problems too. They were alchemy rookies. However, in these 3 days, the alchemy technique that Long Fei had guided them had undergone a tremendous change, just like how a caterpillar had transformed into an emperor butterfly. Nangong Yang asked, what about you? Long Fei smiled faintly, and said, I should be all right. Nangong Yang wanted to say something but hesitated. Long Fei said, ask away. Nangong Yang said, life essence. Yi Jingyun also looked at Long Fei. He had heard about the matter of the life essence, and the rumor had come from Long Fei. Long Fei said, I did not refine that. Nangong Yang did not ask further, but only gave a light "oh." The night passed in silence. The next morning, Martial Arts Arena was already full of people, all of them in high spirits. This time, our young Master Kuang will win. The Song family is a clan of alchemy, and the alchemy technique of the young Master Kuang is at the Grandmaster realm. Long Fei. If it wasn't for me, he wouldn't even be qualified to carry young Master Kuang's shoes. Does he know what alchemy is? Ha ha ha. Yi Jingyun followed Long Fei to the martial arts practice grounds. Hearing these words, Yi Jingyun was not happy, and said, these people are really cheap. Don't bother. Just use the alchemy technique to slap them hard later on. Long Fei simply did not care about their words, because they were filled with disdain. And then, Yi Seng said, I hope that all of you can improve after 3 days of cultivation. Bring out the results of your 3 days of cultivation, and show your strongest side. Let's begin. Today's test pill is Spirit Gathering Pill. You can pick any spirit grass or you can use your own, but the condition is that you must refine a spirit gathering pill. The Yi Seng emphasized. Yi Jingyun said, Young Master Long, what spirit grass do you want? I'll take it for you. Long Fei replied, just a few stalks will do. In addition, there are 2 land flower here. With your current level of alchemy, you should be able to control them. Land flower? 2 more. The 2 of them were stunned. Yi Jingyun said excitedly, ha ha ha. Let's see how Song Kuang will continue acting arrogantly this time. Song Kuang did not choose any spirit grass. Moreover, he already knew what pill he was concocting today, and he had been concocting psionic condensing pills these past 3 days. It could be said that he could even concoct top-grade psionic condensing pills with his eyes closed. As for spirit grasses, he was already prepared. All of them were high-quality spirit grass. Song Kuang looked at Long Fei, who was in the midst of the crowd, and said with a cold smile, "Brat, let's see how I will humiliate you today." A few minutes later, Yi Seng said, "Alchemy start." And then, all of the disciples sat on the ground and started their alchemy. Less than half a minute. Song Kuang was the first to stand up, and said, "The refinement is complete." His speed was as though he was flying. Song Kuang looked at Long Fei, and then said to Nangong Yang, "We have a bet, if I win, you can be my woman. Don't worry, I will definitely make you feel good about the heavens. Being my, Song Kuang's, sex, slave, plaything is your honor. Long Fei, your woman is about to become my plaything. How do you feel? Ha ha ha." Chapter 1399, The Demon God's Displeasure. Chapter 1399, The Demon God's Displeasure Disturbing the Mind. This was a taboo. Alchemy required a high degree of concentration of mental energy, and Song Kuang's words were precisely meant to disturb Long Fei's state of mind, but he had never experienced anything like what Long Fei had previously experienced. This kind of method was useless to him, but it made Long Fei more serious instead. Long Fei grinned and laughed. "Song Kuang, you only know how to play some tricks, you are the only trash, I wouldn't even know what's going on." Not long later. Boom, boom, boom. With muffled sounds again and again, all of the disciples stood up and said, "Forge complete. Refining is done." Song Kuang looked at Long Fei and laughed. "I'm trash? Do you know what alchemy are? Do you understand alchemy?" Boom. Nangong Yang stood up and said, "I have finished refining." Song Kuang's eyes widened in shock, and he immediately said, "Nangong Yang, you have lost for sure. Come to my room tonight, I will take good care of you." A cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Nangong Yang squinted, and did not say a word. Yi Jingyun also stood up, and said, "The refinement is complete." By this time, most of the people had already finished refining and most of them had already succeeded. Only a few people were still refining and replenishing their pills. Long Fei was one of them. He was still trying to perfect the spirit-gathering pill to perfection, so he was in no hurry. However, Song Kuang thought that Long Fei was just making a last-ditch effort and mocked and ridiculed him non-stop. Boom. Boom. And how many people had finished refining it, leaving only Long Fei in the end? Song Kuang laughed. "Everyone come and take a look. Our powerful young Master Long is still struggling to the death. Alchemy? Do you know what is called alchemy? Ha ha ha." The surrounding people roared with laughter. At this moment, Long Fei's eyes suddenly opened, a bright light flashed out, and he shouted out loud, "Done." Rumble. With a loud bang, the pill furnace exploded. A puff of green smoke rose. Song Kuang was grinning from ear to ear. "Ha ha ha. Like I said, you don't know what alchemy is, right? A piece of trash like you can actually use alchemy?" At this time, Long Fei slowly stood up and picked up the pill from the pill furnace fragment, walking past Song Kuang and coldly laughing, "Clown." After which, he walked to the side of the ring and handed the pill over. He didn't even spare Song Kuang a glance. Song Kuang clenched his fists tightly. The key point was that he was so angry that smoke was coming out from his head. Long Fei completely ignored all of his mockery, as she simply looked down on him. Song Kuang said solemnly, "Long Fei, don't be too arrogant, you will know the result later, and be stepped on by this daddy." He didn't believe that Long Fei could concoct any kind of decent spirit-gathering pill. He had noticed Long Fei's refining methods before, and it was simply a mess. Only people who didn't understand alchemy would do such a thing. A few minutes later, Yi Seng announced the results. Song Kuang, top quality, 98 points. As soon as he finished, Song Kuang immediately laughed. His face was full of satisfaction, his eyes carrying a cold and contemptuous look, as he looked at Long Fei, full of confidence and arrogance. 98 high points, victory is set. "Young Master Kuang, you have won. Ha ha ha. Young Master Kuang, can that Nangong Yang also let us have a good time?" 98 was a very high score. Basically, it was an existence that was difficult to surpass. Song Kuang was very excited and pleased with himself. However, Long Fei didn't even look at him. Liu Sheng 80 points. Meng Quan, normal quality 75 points. Nangong Yang. Yi Seng was startled and paused for a moment. Song Kuang's face revealed a lewd smile, and said, Nangong Yang, prepare to moan under my crotch, hey. Absolute quality, 99 point. As soon as he finished, the entire audience was in complete silence. Song Kuang was even more dumbfounded as he looked at Yi Seng with a stupefied expression. Impossible, impossible, she doesn't even understand alchemy. How is it possible for her to get such a high score? Is it even of the highest quality? To refine a spirit-gathering pill is extremely difficult, and it is even more impossible. Yi Seng stared at him and said, Song Kuang, do you doubt our appraisal level? Song Kuang could clearly feel the anger in the Yi Seng's eyes, and immediately said, this disciple doesn't dare, I cannot refine a top-quality spirit-gathering pill. I raise my doubts, I want to personally verify it. You! How dare you? Yi Seng's eyes shook as she said faintly, Song Kuang, don't think that you can act so recklessly just because someone is supporting you. This is the tower question of God's assessment grounds, and I am the examiners. You must be clear on this point. He was also not happy with Song Kuang. He knew very well who Song Kuang was helping him these past few days. He even knew how he was able to finish refining the spirit pill so quickly. To the other disciples of the assessment, this was unfair. Song Kuang clenched both his fists tightly and threw caution out, saying, Elder, I am only raising a reasonable question, you can't let me verify it, but I will definitely file a complaint against the higher-ups. I am not satisfied with Nangong Yang's result. Yi Jingyun laughed. I don't think you can afford to lose. Humph, Song Kuang laughed. I can't afford to lose. I have never been afraid of anyone in the alchemy. How dare a piece of trash like you, who was beaten into a dog by me, clamor in front of me? Song Kuang shouted heavily. At this moment, Yi Seng continued to read the results. Yi Jingyun, absolute quality 99 points. Pa. An invisible slap landed on Song Kuang's face. Yi Jingyun was grinning from ear to ear, and said, Young Master Kuang, what's so good about it? Ha ha ha. Isn't your Song family from the alchemy aristocratic family? Why was I, a alchemy rookie, able to crush him? Song Kuang said heavily, I refuse to accept this. Yi Seng completely ignored him. Long Fei also sneered. Song Kuang stared at Long Fei, and said, You're laughing at me? What qualifications do you have to do so? Yi Seng continued to recite the results, and said, Long Fei, perfect quality, 100 point. Pa. Another slap landed on his face. Song Kuang almost vomited blood as he roared loudly, I refuse to accept this. I want to personally verify this pill. Yi Seng asked, What qualifications do you have to personally verify the pill? At this moment, a voice descended from the sky and lightly said, He doesn't have the qualifications. Do I have the qualifications? Boom. The moment he said those words, his aura exploded. Song Kuang's face immediately revealed a proud smile. Yi Seng bowed, Greetings, Elder Ling Hall Master Dan. Elder Ling lightly said, Do I have the qualifications to verify this pill? His voice was filled with power and pressure as it crazily rushed into the Yi Seng's sea of consciousness. Yi Seng's forehead was drenched in cold sweat as he said with difficulty, Elder, I am the examiner for this assessment. Not waiting for him to finish, Elder Ling suddenly shouted, Impudent. Plop. Yi Seng could not withstand the powerful pressure and directly knelt on the ground, unable to move from top to bottom. Elder Ling took the spirit-gathering pill Long Fei refined and looked at it. He did not even look at the quality of the pill nor sense the attributes of the pill, and directly said, Waste powder, 0 point. Yi Seng was stunned. He had examined the pill Long Fei had refined before. It was definitely of the perfect quality. The corners of Long Fei's mouth curled up slightly as he let out a cold and sinister laugh. The demonic god in his body was in a bad mood. Chapter 1400 Simple. Your life. Chapter 1400 Simple. Your life. What was the level of Long Fei's current alchemy technique? Within these 3 days, with the help of the Sleeping Beauty, his alchemy technique had already reached level 8, and his alchemy, consciousness, and grasp of the pellets had already reached the great perfection stage. He had already used the system to detect the psionic condensing pill he refined. No doubt about it. A perfect grade pill. The hall master of the pellet hall, Ling Ju, obviously did not even glance at the pellet before saying that he was a waste powder and directly gave a 0-point mark. This was clearly targeting Long Fei. It was naked bullying. The aloofness and haughtiness in his eyes made Long Fei very unhappy, because he wanted to bully you. The other magic body also became more irritable. Another 0? Ha ha ha. Brat, I told you already, how could you know what alchemy is? You created history by scoring 0 in 3 consecutive rounds. Ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter. The crowd burst into laughter. Song Kuang laughed the happiest as he looked at Long Fei with contempt. Long Fei, you have scored 0 for the pills, and 0 for the 3 consecutive matches. You are truly amazing. How did you do it? Ha ha ha. Yi Jingyun took a step forward. Elder, there must be a mistake. My alchemy technique was taught to me by the young master. Long Ling Ju said very straightforwardly. If I say that his medicinal pellet is a waste powder, then it is a waste powder. Are you not convinced? If you are not convinced, then the pills you refine will also be waste powder-s, and will be left with 0 point. Nangong Yang was also extremely unhappy, and said, what kind of test is this? You say you can get as many results as you want. Is this the tower question of God? Ling Ju sneered. What? Do you also want to get a 0? Yi Jingyun said, Mother **K, you didn't even look at the pills before saying that you got 0 points, and I even said that you are a bastard. You're courting death. Ling Ju's eyes darkened. He suddenly shouted, and the pressure from his body smashed towards Yi Jingyun like a huge wave. It was also at this time. Long Fei moved a step blocking in front of Yi Jingyun, and his body struck down heavily. Rumble. 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 A series of explosions sounded in the air as Long Fei's body lightly trembled. However, he forcefully withstood the powerful pressure, stared at the distant Ling Ju, and said, You're the hall master of the pellet hall. Song Kuang bellowed. Long Fei, what kind of words are you spouting, to dare speak to the hall master like that? You. Not waiting for him to finish. Long Fei slid forward and landed in front of Song Kuang. Without waiting for him to finish speaking, he slapped him. You better **King calm down. Pa. A resounding slap on the face, directly sending Song Kuang sprawled on the ground. Bam! In an instant, he turned into a dead dog and fainted on the ground. A single slap caused the entire world to quieten down. The surrounding Song Kuang minions also retreated, no longer daring to make the slightest sound. Long Fei continued to ask, You're the hall master of the tower question of God's pill hall? Ling Ju laughed coldly, looked at the Yi Seng at the side and said, In a public duel, according to the rules of the examination department, how should this kind of disciple be punished? Without waiting for Yi Seng to speak, Long Fei's voice suddenly erupted with rage, exploding out, I'm asking you a question. Are you the master of the tower question of God Pellet Hall? The sound exploded. It was like a thunder. The entire training field was shocked. The corner of Ling Ju's eyes twitched. He stared at Long Fei and said, I am the hall master of the Pellet Hall. Long Fei said, So you're the person with the most powerful alchemy out of the tower question of God? Ling Ju said, You can say that. Long Fei said, Very good. Didn't you say that the pills I refined were waste powder-s? Then I'll challenge you now. As soon as he finished, Yi Jingyun and Nangong Yang shook violently. Yi Seng's expression also changed. Nangong Yang immediately pulled Long Fei back, and said softly, Are you crazy? He is not just an ordinary alchemist, he is the alchemy master of the tower question of God, a super alchemy master for those who have entered the ancient holy battlefield to refine pellets. Yi Jingyun also advised, Young Master Long, calm down. Chinji. Ling Ju sneered, his eyes full of disdain. You? Challenge me? What qualifications do you have to challenge me? Brat, you should take a piss and look at yourself. Do you have the qualifications to challenge me? He simply did not bother to accept Long Fei's challenge. Who is he? The Hall Master of the Tower Question of God Pellet could be said to be a powerhouse at the peak of the Chaos Realm's alchemy. A mere examination disciple simply didn't have the qualifications to challenge him. Yi Seng also looked at Long Fei an idea as he sent a sound transmission to him. Long Fei, don't mess around, I will think of a way to achieve your alchemy result. Long Fei didn't listen, but said straightforwardly, the master behind you wants me to leave the Tower Question of God exam, right? If I lose, I'll leave immediately. Ling Ju's eyes darkened slightly as he said, your score is 0 in these 3 rounds. You have already lost the qualifications to continue with the assessment. However, Ling Ju's tone changed as he sneered, I accept your challenge. He actually agreed to it. Many people were shocked. Who was Ling Ju, to think that he would actually accept Long Fei's challenge? Of course. Yi Jingyun, Nangong Yang and the rest tensed up and immediately started to worry for Long Fei. Because if Long Fei lost, then he would forever lose the qualifications to continue participating in the examination. If not, then there might still be some leeway for this matter. If Ling Ju accepted the challenge, then Long Fei had no way out. Ling Ju's identity was not the examiner after all, and the points he got from the pill could only be used as a reference. At that time, he would not be able to kill Long Fei in one hit. However, right now, he did not have to worry. Winning against Long Fei was easy, because if he did that, the task that Zhong Wushuang gave him would be completed. The Yi Seng slightly said, Elder, I am afraid this is not good, he is just an examination disciple, you are the Hall Master of the Alchemy Hall. Ling Ju sneered coldly, a mere examination disciple dares to be so arrogant and belittling others, don't you think I should teach him a lesson and let him know how high the sky is and how thick the ground is? At this moment, Long Fei slightly said, if I lose, I will immediately leave the mountain and take the examination. But if I force myself, what do you think? Beat me? Ha ha ha. Ling Ju laughed out loud and said, Brat, just with those words of yours, I can kill you right now. Long Fei was not afraid, and asked again, what do you think? Ling Ju asked, what do you want? The corner of Long Fei's mouth hooked up as he coldly laughed, and said, what I want is very simple. His voice carried killing intent. It was incomparably thick. Ling Ju's eyes narrowed slightly as a trace of killing intent also flashed across his eyes. He said solemnly, Brat, today I will make you die a graveless death. Long Fei said, don't talk anymore, let's begin. Exactly. Stop beeping, hurry up and start. I can't wait. The Sleeping Beauty clenched her fists with an angry expression. Chapter 1401 Not Powder-Making Competition, Battling Lives. Chapter 1401 Not Powder-Making Competition, Battling Lives. Alright. If you want to be reborn so quickly, I'll grant you that wish. Ling Ju was also angry. At this time, Nangong Yang pulled Long Fei and said, Long Fei, he is the Hall Master of the Pellet Hall, why don't you compare alchemy with him? What are you thinking? Even if the pill you forge is better than his, who will judge it? If he can call the spirit-gathering pill you refined as a waste powder and the pill you refined as a waste, how are you going to compete with him? Yi Jingyun also said, that's right. If there is no judgment, even a white one would say that it is a black one. How do we compete? This is a serious problem. To be able to say that a perfection-level spirit-gathering pill was a waste powder, and to also say that Long Fei's medicinal pellet was a waste powder, he was the Hall Master of the Pellet Hall, he was the authority. What can you do? Long Fei was too weak. He was simply unable to compete with Ling Ju. Yi Seng walked over and whispered, are you crazy? What are you thinking? He could not understand why Long Fei wanted to follow Ling Ju. Even if the pill was refined better than him, the result was still the same. Ling Ju would never admit defeat. There would only be one outcome to this competition. Long Fei lost. If he lost, he would be defeated. Not only would he be expelled from the assessment department, he might even invite calamity to himself. Song Kuang shook his head. He woke up from his coma and was about to explode with anger, but when he thought about the slap just now, his body shrank back. He did not dare step forward and said, Long Fei, If you accept the challenge, you cannot retreat. Long Fei ignored him. Regarding Nangong Yang, Yi Jingyun and the others only smiled and asked, "What do I want to do?" "What I want to do is very simple. I want his life." The three of them were taken aback. Why did alchemy want to take his life and defeat him? It was impossible. Long Fei walked onto the stage of powder-making competition, looked at Ling Ju who was at the other side, and smiled. "Can we start?" Ling Ju smirked and said, "Sure." Right at this moment, Ling Ju moved. With a flip of his right hand, he summoned out a cauldron. The pill furnace was carved with all kinds of rare treasures and beasts. Furthermore, they were all emitting a golden light. All kinds of explosions could be heard from the pill furnace, as if lightning was rolling inside. As soon as the pill furnace appeared, Yi Seng's face turned even uglier, and he said solemnly, "Authentic artifact, 10,000 beast spiritual stove." "Huh?" Yi Jingyun was startled and asked, "What authentic artifact? Isn't authentic artifact some kind of weapon or defensive spirit treasure? Why is it a pill furnace?" The Yi Seng said, "His different from other martial arts training his greatest strength originates from the alchemy technique. He uses his own alchemy technique to nurture authentic artifact. I didn't expect him to summon the authentic artifact the moment he appeared. It looks like..." Yi Seng looked at Long Fei and sighed. "Long Fei is definitely going to lose. I'm afraid that today..." Yi Seng laughed bitterly and said, "He's too young, full of vigor. He doesn't know how to endure. What a pity. He valued Long Fei a lot." However, Long Fei's performance today had made him feel very disappointed. If he had been patient for a while, there wouldn't have been so many things. Moreover, that pellet, even if Ling Ju were to say it was 0, it would not count. But Long Fei had taken his own future and Ling Ju's powder-making competition at once. It was inevitable for him to lose, and Long Fei would also forever withdraw from the examination of the Tower Question of God. Nangong Yang also frowned. She was thinking about how to let Long Fei live on. Yi Jingyun was extremely anxious, and asked, "Then what do we do now?" "Call Yong Master Long down." Song Kwong became excited and immediately laughed. "The powder-making competition has already begun, he just came down to admit defeat, and also needs to be punished, ha ha ha. In the end, he would still be expelled out of the Tower Question of God. I might even die here today." Song Kwong laughed complacently. He hated Long Fei to the bones. Yi Jingyun's eyes stared at Song Kwong, and said, "You're the one that King wants to die here. Isn't the slap from Yong Master Long still not good enough?" The corner of Song Kwong's eyes twitched, and said, "Yi Jingyun, what are you clamoring about? Are you my opponent?" Yi Jingyun was so angry that he was stopped by the Yi Seng. Yi Seng looked at Song Kwong coldly and said, "Someone is backing you up, but if you dare provoke again, I will not be polite." Song Kwong grinned, and did not dare speak further. On stage of powder-making competition, Ling Ju took out the authentic artifact, and said, "Facing any kind of challenge, I will not lower my guard. No matter how much of a useless opponent I am, I will do my best. Because I like the feeling of crushing others. I like the feeling of crushing someone to the ground and making them unable to get up. Brat, just enjoy it." As soon as he finished, the fire blazed, and boom, boom, boom. It also had a golden divine power. The authentic artifact and furnace released a strong resonance, and wave after wave of power erupted with incomparable intensity. This was completely different from the alchemy technique that Long Fei had seen before. They were two completely different worlds' alchemy technique. The reason Ling Ju could become the master of the Tower Question of God was not because of luck, but because of his absolute strength. Long Fei was secretly shocked. Authentic artifact was a pill furnace. This was something he did not expect, but he wasn't worried, and, more importantly, this time, the powder-making competition was not about the pills, but his life. Long Fei moved and said, "Are you ready?" The Sleeping Beauty giggled and said, "It's been prepared since a long time ago." Long Fei said, "Then let's begin." Rumble. Long Fei's holy sauce fiercely exploded. Following that, the flames on the fire started to burn crazily, as though it was burning up after touching the flames. Seeing such a big fire, Ling Ju also laughed disdainfully. You don't even know what alchemy is. But at this moment, his body suddenly sank down, and for some reason, he suddenly slapped himself. His hand was completely out of control. Hiss. Ah! When he threw down the spirit grass, he immediately started stir-frying in the scalding pill furnace, just like cooking, except he used a spatula to fry the vegetables. He had his hands. The whole hand was red-hot and swollen. Not even that. As if the stir-frying wasn't satisfying enough, he dipped his head and stuck his entire head in. Ah! Ah! It was a mad scream, but at the same time, it was a frenzy. Use your face for alchemy? Wow, I've never seen him before. He really is worthy of being the hall master of the pill hall. He is really awesome. Long Fei laughed, and said coldly in his heart, powder-making competition? You're King thinking too much. Your father is fighting for your life. The Sleeping Beauty giggled. You call him rampant, yet you actually say that the pill refined by my master is a waste powder. Mitch, I am very angry, and the consequences are serious. Ah! Ling Ju pulled his head out, his face was charred black, and his eyes looked like they were being burned blind. This was only the beginning. Chapter 1402. Is that enough? Not yet. Chapter 1402. Is that enough? Not yet. No matter what kind of pill Long Fei refined, even if he used the power of old Lord Taishang's possession on his alchemy, the final result would still be the same. Thus, Long Fei had planned from the beginning that he would not fight for the pills, but for his life. Ling Ju's life. His flames suddenly burst forth, causing Ling Ju's tense state of mind to loosen slightly. At the same time, the Sleeping Beauty's idea entered his body. It could be said that he was completely unable to withstand it. Stir-fry with your left hand and stir-fry with your right. He turned his head and put his feet in to stir-fry. Finally, even the authentic artifact that he had nurtured for 100 years, the 10,000 beast spiritual stove, seemed to be unable to bear it any longer. It directly split apart. The furnace exploded. Long Fei immediately laughed loudly. Quickly come and see, the pellet hall master's alchemy has exploded. He's really too powerful. Wow, I've never seen such a powerful person before. It was also at this time. Long Fei retracted his flames and took out a pill that was the size of his pinky. Aya, I'm sorry. However, beating you is enough. The cauldron exploded, and all the pills were destroyed. Only Long Fei could refine pills so easily that even waste powder could defeat him. Everyone below the stage was dumbfounded. What the hell is going on? Was Ling Ju possessed? Seeing the 100-year-old authentic artifact explode with his own eyes, Ling Ju's heart was filled with incomparable pain. Then, he saw Long Fei's complacent look. Anger assaulted the heart and could not be vented. Phut! A mouthful of blood spurted out, Ling Ju's body trembled, his face became extremely pale, and he became extremely miserable. You dog, what evil technique did you use? Long Fei laughed coldly. Elderling, so what if I lose? You say I use the evil techniques. Couldn't afford to lose. If you can't afford to lose, just say so. I'll let you win. What lousy hall master is he? In my opinion, it's just a pile of dog shit. Ling Ju's eyes bulged out, and stared straight at Long Fei, and said, You. Long Fei said, what about me? Are you at alchemy? Are you cooking? So what if you're cooking? You even fried the wok. I have to say, you're really too awesome. Phut. Thinking about how his authentic artifact had been crippled, Ling Ju couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of black blood, and said, Brat, this matter isn't over yet, this matter. It's indeed not over. Long Fei took a step forward, and said, Remember our bet. Ling Ju's eyes turned sinister, and his body trembled slightly. His current internal injuries were severe, and with the additional impact from the authentic artifact's collapse, he would definitely not be able to hold on if Long Fei were to make a move. What do you want to do? Long Fei sneered, I don't want to do anything, I just want you to fulfill the bet. Ling Ju's expression changed greatly, and he immediately said, Yi Seng, stop him, kill this brat for me. Yi Seng acted as if he didn't hear anything, and said, Elder, what are you saying? I can't hear you. Please speak louder. Just now, the pressure had caused him to kneel down, and his heart was filled with rage. Although he did not know what kind of evil technique Long Fei used to turn Ling Ju into this state, but he felt great. Although his expression did not change on the surface, his heart felt extremely good. To stop Long Fei? He was more or less stupid. Ling Ju's expression became even more unsightly and he retreated continuously, saying, "Kid, I am the hall master of the Pellet Hall. If you dare to even touch a hair on my head, the Tower Question of God will definitely not let you go. Is the hall master of the Pill Hall that incredible? Is it that amazing?" Long Fei slowly walked forward and coldly laughed. "Weren't you very arrogant just now? Weren't you awesome just now? Didn't you say that the pellet I refined was a waste powder? Didn't you say that Lousy isn't qualified to challenge you? F***ck. Long Fei's voice suddenly exploded out, as he roared out fiercely, and said, "Now, if you continue to be so arrogant, let this old man see, Hallmaster Dan. Bah, your face is so ugly." The black and white were reversed and the demonic god was angry. Bullying others? Long Fei would never tolerate such a thing. After being scolded continuously, Ling Ju was unable to say a single word. He could only stare at Long Fei, his face turning paler and paler, as blood continued to spurt out from his mouth. His heart was filled with fear. At this moment, suddenly, Long Fei suddenly rushed forward. Ling Ju's body trembled as he said, "You dare." Long Fei's palms were like thunder as they heavily smashed outwards, and he said, "Why would I not dare?" Rumble. His fists punched out, but in that instant, a thick air shield door descended, just like Bloom's door within the game. The golden door. Long Fei's fists collided with it, both of his arms were numb, his fists cracked and blood flowed out. His body was also knocked backward. Instantly, a few elders descended from the sky, heavily landing beside Ling Ju. One of the elders' voice sunk, and said lightly, "Enough. Is that enough?" "I don't think so. If you say it's enough, then it's enough. Then, wouldn't Lousy lose a lot of face?" In that instant, the holy source erupted, the dense holy source spirit chi burst out. Long Fei took a step forward, the strong force was like steam coming out from his body. One step at a time. The stage was exploding, quickly rushing up, both fists shaking, a ball of holy source condensed into a ball of light the color of Shuanar Bai, heavily rushing out. "I said enough." The old man was also slightly angry, his powerful strength pressing down heavily on Long Fei's body. Buzz. It directly trapped Long Fei and caused him to be unable to move. This was a strand of divine power. The power that Long Fei was unable to break through, of course it was. That was his own strength. The idea moved. Xiao Luo divine body. Buzz. When the power of the king's inheritance exploded, it immediately broke through the god power on his body, suddenly increasing his speed. He threw a heavy punch at Ling Ju's face. Black and white are inseparable, even a trash like you can be an elder. Boom. Phut. Ling Ju spat out a mouthful of blood as his body flew backwards. At this moment, the other elder was enraged. "How dare you?" He threw a punch. Bam. Long Fei flew out 100 meters and landed heavily on the ground. The ground was smashed apart and Long Fei took the opportunity to spew out a mouthful of blood. "Who do you think you are? What qualifications do you have to criticize the elders?" The elder said angrily. Long Fei did not wipe away the blood on the corner of his mouth. Another clan elder shouted again, "Long Fei, I warn you, enough. Enough. Heh. Why didn't you say enough when he was black and white? Is it enough to be the savior now? You guys, enough. Lousy doesn't have enough." Chapter 1403 No one can stop him. Kill him. Chapter 1403 No one can stop him. Kill him. If you're not happy, you're not happy. No matter how many obstructions there were, it was useless. Long Fei wanted to kill him. The more he tried to stop them, the more he wanted to kill them. Humph. A mere disciple taking the examination is so arrogant, too presumptuous. An elder stared at him and let out a loud shout. Then, his body's oppressive aura rushed forward like an avalanche. Boom. Boom, boom. The air exploded. He rushed towards Xiong Longfei. Ling Ju's mouth hooked up as he coldly laughed. Kid, you want to kill me? Come and kill me, ha ha ha. He was extremely proud. These elders were all elders of the battle hall, and all of them were experts. Dealing with a Longfei was easy. He was secretly delighted in his heart to take action against Zhongla. Now even if you have the ability, you will be expelled from the tower question of God's assessment at that time. Heh. Things had gotten out of hand. No one could afford it. Yi Seng frowned and said, Longfei, don't mess around. Nangong Yang's expression was also anxious. Ha ha ha. Come and kill me. You dog, come and kill me now. Ling Ju vented his anger ruthlessly, feeling extremely displeased after being crushed by Longfei. Facing the overwhelming pressure, Longfei lowered both of his hands and directly bombarded into the thick pressure. He roared in his heart, Suck star over China, explode for me. Both of his palms opened, and Longfei's temples suddenly rose, frantically absorbing the power under the pressure. In just half a second. Break for me. Crack. The pressure barrier split open. Longfei moved his idea and linked to the double attack card, and shouted loudly, Activate. This was a special reward from when he completed the quest search for exquisite spirit grass. However, he did not receive an S-class reward. Buzz. System notification, double attack card activated. Duration of 3 minutes. When his power exploded, he increased his strength by 1-fold and his speed by 1-fold, causing his body to fiercely charge forward as an afterimage to appear like a line. With a whoosh, he landed in front of Ling Ju. Die. Both palms erupted from the energy the Suck star over China had absorbed, heavily smashing onto Ling Ju's chest. Rumble. Rumble. Ling Ju flew out like a kite with its string cut off, his chest splitting apart as he spat out a large mouthful of blood in the air. Bam! It fell heavily onto the ground. When the HP bar fell, the system notification rang out. Ding! Congratulations to player Longfei for killing Ling Ju for gaining 1 million experience, 78,900 holy source points, and 10 energy values points. Congratulations to player Longfei for obtaining holy alchemy. Do you wish to cultivate it? Congratulations to player Longfei for obtaining godly flame. Do you wish to fuse it? Congratulations to player Longfei. Good stuff. Take them all. Longfei smiled slightly in his heart. The system continuously exploded. Upon hearing the system beep, the aura on Longfei's body receded slightly. Looking at the dumbstruck elders whose eyes were filled with blazing fury, he said with a smile, I have never seen such a person, begging me to kill him. Regarding this kind of unreasonable request, I can only grant it to him. There are very few people who are so willing to help others. Longfei laughed. The entire audience was shocked. The Hall Master of the Pellet Hall had a very prestigious status in the Tower Question of God. These pellets were supposed to provide good quality pellets to those who entered the ancient holy battlefield, but now they were actually killed by Longfei, and it happened right under their noses. What was this called? Too arrogant. Lawless. He killed the Hall Master of the Pill Hall? Crazy. He's really crazy. This. Does he want to die? He really dares to kill? My God. They were all dumbstruck and shocked. Ling Ju's identity and Elder Chang Dao's identity were completely different. They were people of a completely different level, and Ling Ju was the Hall Master of the Pellet Hall. Was he one of the 10 great Hall Masters of the Tower Question of God, killed by Longfei just like that? This was slapping the Tower Question of God in the face. The anger in the 4 elders' hearts erupted like a volcano. Longfei. A thunderous roar. The sound of explosions continuously sounded in the air as the heavy pressure came crashing down in a berserk manner, and exploded on top of Longfei's head like lightning. Longfei's body sank, and he was slightly unable to stand still. The strength was too great. And it had a dense amount of divine power. The elder shouted, Do you know who he is? Longfei struggled a little, but he was still very arrogant as he said, I don't care who he is, since he agreed to the gamble, then he must fulfill the bet, and if you can't afford to gamble, then don't gamble. How dare you? Another wave of pressure came crushing down, and another elder landed in front of Long Fei. Boom! The power above Long Fei's head increased by 1-fold and his legs trembled violently, but he still stood perfectly straight, without bending in the slightest, and said with a heavy voice, "Stop talking nonsense, you want me to die, right? If you have any tricks up your sleeves, then use them, I'll take them all on. F***ck. Don't talk nonsense. Isn't it just because I want to die? Then come." Long Fei had never been afraid of anyone before. The expressions of the other two elders also changed. They had never met such an arrogant disciple who dared to disrespect their elders and was this arrogant. If he did not make a move, then where would the face of the tower question of God be? And then, the pressure of both of them fell at the same time. Boom, boom. Long Fei's legs could barely take it, but he clenched his fists tightly. The idea moved, and said, "Ice Thunderbird, Sky Swallowing Rat, Fire Unicorn, Demonic Eye, prepare them all for me. King Hell, I'm so pissed, all of you have to die." The Sleeping Beauty asked, "Master, do you still have me?" Long Fei said, "You're not in a hurry." Long Fei did not know what her strength was either. How strong was his combat strength? I'm not sure. She was a very unstable factor. Long Fei did not dare to use it rashly. You still dare to be so arrogant? Kid. Then let's see how crazy you can be. Boom. The four of them moved together, and the 4 streams of energy smashed down heavily. Long Fei's body sank, and he burst out in a vulgar manner, "Come." The idea moved. Just as he was about to release the Ice Thunderbird, the sky suddenly darkened. Stop. Rumble. A huge force landed and directly sealed the power of the 4. A middle-aged man's feet rippled and every ripple flashed with golden light. The faces of the 4 men changed as they bowed respectfully. "We pay our respects to the 3rd elder." Behind the middle-aged man followed a woman, the celestial sister Wang Shusha. After the middle-aged man landed on the ground, he looked at Long Fei seriously, and asked, "You are Long Fei?" Before he could finish his words, the middle-aged man asked again, "Is that the Long Fei who survived the fate trial? Long Fei who refined the life essence?" Chapter 1404, Tathagata's Hands. Chapter 1404, Tathagata's Hands. Long Fei did not understand the meaning behind his words. However, this was no longer a secret. Long Fei immediately admitted, "I am, what about it? Kid, be more respectful when you speak to the 3rd elder." An elder shouted. The 3rd elder waved his hand and said, "All right. You killed Ling Ju, and according to the rules of the Tower Question of God, you shall pay with your life, and you shall die for your crimes. However, we need a high-level alchemy master to supply the ancient holy battlefield. If you can refine a pill that would satisfy me, I will spare your life." The 3rd elder said indifferently. His words were very plain. His body didn't have any strong aura, but he had the aura of a superior. To these elders, the 3rd elder in front of him was the true powerhouse, the real oracle. Long Fei said, "He is betting with me. If he loses, I will only let him fulfill his bet. I don't need you to spare my life." There was no change in the 3rd elder's expression. Instead, he directly said, "You have no other choice. Do you understand? Either you can concoct a pill that will satisfy me, or you will pay with your life. Long Fei, no matter what divine technique you have, or how powerful your evil arts are, if you don't do as I say, you will die today without a doubt." His voice was still very calm, without any ripples. However, he definitely wasn't joking around. Just as he said, if Long Fei did not do as he said, he would die. The Sleeping Beauty lightly reminded him, "There are a lot of people hiding in the sky. They are all stronger than you. You must be careful." It wasn't just him. There was a huge crowd of people above them. It was just that Wang Shusha was slightly faster. If it was someone else, they would definitely not talk so much nonsense with Long Fei. Wang Shusha said, "Long Fei, do as the 3rd elder says." Yi Seng said, "Long Fei, do as I said." Yi Jingyun said, "Young Master Long, refine a unique pill, and let them see your alchemy technique." Long Fei looked at the third elder as if he could tell something from his eyes, but he couldn't. The Sleeping Beauty said. Long Fei knew that the third elder wanted to help him. He really had no other choice. There were a lot of people staring at him from mid-air. However, he was not happy in his heart. This kind of feeling where fate was in the hands of others was very unpleasant, just like when he was facing Hong Tianjun in the God's Martial Continent. When he was facing Zhong Wushuang. That feeling made Long Fei unhappy. Still not strong enough. I'm still not strong enough. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and gritted his teeth. If he was strong enough to make others tremble, who would dare to order him around? Who dared to make him do something he didn't like? Huff. Long Fei heaved a heavy sigh, and said, "All right, I will." Wang Shisha also let out a long breath. Her every move was being observed, and even the idea's sound transmission was being observed. She couldn't remind Long Fei of anything. Seeing Long Fei make his choice, her heart relaxed. The third elder calmly replied, "Let's begin." Long Fei walked to the alchemy stage and adjusted his breathing. He glanced at the sky and then moved his idea, "Sleeping Beauty, let them have a look." He. Understood, Master. The Sleeping Beauty smiled lightly, and then changed to her idea. It was like a type of strong knowledge suddenly pouring into Long Fei's sea of consciousness, then Long Fei quickly started refining it. The land flower was thrown into the furnace. Buzz. The pill furnace shook and then cracked open. It was simply unbearable. The quality of these ordinary pill furnaces was simply too poor. Everyone's face changed. Burn the furnace. Ha ha ha. Song Kwong laughed proudly. Long Fei, let's see if you're still alive. I failed. The furnace exploded even before he started refining. One can imagine that he simply doesn't know how to use the alchemy. The surroundings were filled with scornful and mocking voices. Those elders also revealed a disdainful sneer. The third elder frowned slightly. He had taken a huge risk to protect Long Fei. If Long Fei failed so quickly, he would be implicated as well. Wang Shusha's face sank, and the heart that had just been at ease once again floated in the air. However, Long Fei was calm and collected, without any signs of panic. A strange scene occurred. In the air, the holy source that Long Fei released formed a blazing pill furnace, but the land flower did not land inside it. It was too strange. What method is this? I've never seen such a thing. How can a cauldron explode be used to forge it? Look. What does that fire pill furnace look like? The flame furnace slowly changed. In the end, it turned into a huge palm. Hand of Tathagata. At this moment, those people who had mocked Long Fei's explosion had ugly expressions. They were like ignorant children, unable to even touch Long Fei's domain when looking up. Young Master Long is too awesome. Ha ha ha. Mighty. Yi Jingyun laughed excitedly. Just this alchemy technique is already enough to shock those people. What kind of method is this? Nangong Yang became doubtful and he became shocked in his heart. Long Fei, just how many more secrets are you hiding? I don't understand. He was getting more and more confused. Wang Shusha was relieved once again, and thought, can't you let me relax this once? He was really going to be scared to death by Long Fei. The third elder's frown deepened as his mind frantically searched, what kind of alchemy technique is this? The powerhouse in the sky all revealed puzzled expressions. How could they possibly have seen it? This Sleeping Beauty's method. Who is she, Nine Dragon Coffin? Long Fei didn't know, how would they know? Tathagata's hand. Too strong. The pill quickly condensed, and it could be said that not even the slightest bit of spirit energy was released, as it completely fused with the pill. Furthermore, with the control of the Tathagata hand, this pill could be said to have surpassed the current level and quality of the pills in Chaos Realm. Boom. There was a soft muffled sound. The pill fire was extinguished. That huge Buddhist hand also slowly disappeared, along with the shock. Finally, following the disappearance of the Buddhist hand, the pellet did not fall. Instead, it floated silently in the air, as if there was a force holding him back. It also seemed as if it had a life of its own, as if it had a mind of its own. Long Fei's right hand moved slightly, and the pellet fell into his palm. He looked at the third elder and asked, "Are you satisfied with this pellet?" "Gudong." The third elder looked excited, but he didn't answer. Instead, he smiled and said to the sky, "Fellow Taoists, are you satisfied?" There was no sound in the sky. None of them could find any excuse to deny Long Fei's alchemy technique. The third elder looked at Long Fei and asked somewhat excitedly, "Long Fei, what is the attribute of this pill?" Long Fei also wanted to know, so he immediately opened up the system and looked. In that moment, when he saw the pill's properties, he was completely dumbfounded. Damn, this is too awesome. Chapter 1405, The Tathagata Divine Pill. Chapter 1405, The Tathagata Divine Pill was not unfamiliar with alchemy. In God's martial continent, he was a grand achievement alchemy grandmaster. He had refined all kinds of pellets. It could be said that he had seen every kind of pellet, but he had never seen the pill that he had just refined. Looking at the properties of the elixir in the system, he was even a little shocked. This is too freaking abnormal, too irritable. Item, the Tathagata Divine Pill Grade, Divine Level Attributes, Battle Description. Take this pill and activate Tathagata. Lasts for 10 minutes. Just a single question. Fierce or not? Long Fei didn't even dare to believe it himself, and confirmed thrice consecutively. Looking at the description of the pill, he was so excited that he couldn't help but exclaim, "The Tathagata Divine Pellet. I am the real one. Tathagata, sweep wild universe. Sleeping Beauty, how strong are you?" In the refining process just now, Long Fei had completely mastered the power of the Sleeping Beauty. This was the power of the Sleeping Beauty. Now, he had actually refined a Tathagata Divine Pill, and it was even able to activate the Tathagata mode. It was a complete mess. Long Fei secretly thought, who exactly are these people? Could it really be the ancient god? Now he was even a little doubtful. 9 dragon coffin, awesome. The person lying in the bronze coffin could not be immortal. Moreover, how many years had the person who had been asleep for suddenly awoken? How could such a person be an ordinary person? Was it a god? An omnipotent god? Or was it really, as the Ice Thunder Bird said, ancient god? Huff. Long Fei let out a long breath in his heart, and said, "No matter who you are, if you help me, then you're my man." At this time, looking at the shocked Long Fei, the third elder could not help but ask, "What kind of pill is this?" Long Fei said, "A pill that can shake the world." While they were talking, Long Fei carefully handed the pellet over to the third elder. The third elder moved, and in just half a second, his body began to tremble. He immediately returned the pill to Long Fei's hands. His face was flushed red as he said excitedly, "A divine pellet, a divine pellet. I have never seen such a powerful divine pellet before, ha ha ha. Brat, you really made me look at you in a new light. Don't worry, if you can concoct such a divine pill, then from now on, your business is my business. Whoever dares to make a move against you, I will definitely not hold back." As soon as he finished speaking, the third elder was startled. He looked at the disciples taking the examination and said, "Did you hear me clearly? These words were not meant for the disciples, but for those in the sky." All the disciples present lowered their heads. However, they did not dare to say anything. The tower question of God's pellets had been unable to keep up, and they needed a strong alchemy master, so Long Fei's appearance would definitely be valued, and it would not be that easy to make a move against him again. One of the elders spoke, "Third elder, he killed Elder Ling. This matter." Without waiting for him to finish, the third elder immediately cut him off. "I already know about this. I will report it to the Tower Lord, there is no need to say more." At this time, Yi Jingyun took a step forward, and asked, "Elder, then what about the examination results for the Young Master Long's pellets?" Elder Ling just said that it was a waste miracle pill, so the result was 0. Then, is this result a number? The third elder laughed. His alchemy technique is inferior to Long Fei's, and any pill that can be evaluated by Long Fei? The alchemy technique Long Fei just showed is already enough. Perfect score, 100 points. The third elder looked at Long Fei and said, "Young man, do your best during the next assessment, I think highly of you." Ha ha ha. The third elder laughed excitedly, then looked at Wang Shusha and said, "Return to the divine pagoda." Wang Shusha looked at Long Fei and revealed a slight smile. Long Fei was grateful in his heart. If not for her, he would never have been able to leave this place today, no matter how powerful he was. The strength of the Tower Question of God had once again surpassed Long Fei's expectations. At the same time, Long Fei knew that there were a lot of people staring at him, so he couldn't take the wrong step. Long Fei raised his eyes, looked at the sky and said, "Zhon Wushuang, your father is here." The third elder left. The other few elders could not touch Long Fei, the person the third elder was protecting. They did not dare to move at all. With a cold glare, Long Fei and the other three left as well. Oh! Ha ha ha! Young Master Long is mighty and domineering, awesome to the skies, ha ha ha! Yi Jingyun cheered, he was extremely excited. Many people in the surrounding area also started to cheer. However, there was one person whose face was extremely ugly, Song Kuang. His expression was as unsightly as the liver of a pig. Yi Jingyun looked at Song Kuang. "Young Master Kuang, why do you have such an ugly expression? Has your family died?" Song Kuang's gaze darkened, and he said, "Yi Jingyun, don't be so arrogant." Yi Jingyun said, "I am arrogant, I am cocky, what can you do with me, and you want to bite me again? Come on, come bite me, ha ha ha." Song Kuang swung his sleeves, and said fiercely, "Let's wait and see." He turned to leave, but he was stopped by Nangong Yang, and said, "Song Kuang, you won't forget our bet, right?" "A bet? What bet? What bet do I have with you?" Song Kuang's eyes turned cold, he quickened his pace, wanting to quickly leave the place. However, the person beside Yi Jingyun stopped him first. Yi Jingyun said, "Young Master Kuang, why are you in such a hurry to leave? Get out of my way." Song Kuang was slightly angered. Yi Jingyun said, "I am still not giving way, what can you do?" Nangong Yang said, "You don't honor your bet." Heh. Nangong Yang laughed and said, "Do you know how Elder Ling died?" Song Kuang's body slightly trembled, his eyes could not help but look at Xiong Longfei, who was also looking at him. With a dark and cold intent in his eyes, he immediately said solemnly, Good, I will fulfill the bet." Plop! Song Kuang suddenly knelt down, kowtowed to Long Fei, and instantly crawled up, running out of the martial ground. Yi Jingyun laughed loudly, "Song Kuang, are you feeling good?" Yi Seng walked to Long Fei's side and smiled, "With third elder supporting you, the others will not dare to move, but you will have to be careful yourself. Facing Luo Tianfeng, and now that you have killed the Pill Hall Master, your examination in the Tower Question of God will become extremely difficult. You must be extremely careful. I am looking forward to your following performance, and I do not want to disappoint the third elder." Long Fei nodded, and said, "I know." In Long Fei's heart, however, he said slightly, "Not only will I not disappoint them, I will also shock them." Zhon Wushuang. Chapter 1406, Sun God Authentic Artifact. Chapter 1406, Sun God Authentic Artifact did not offend anyone at all with regards to Tower Question of God. Why was it always against him? Obviously. With someone messing with him from behind, Long Fei could even think of that person, Zhon Wushuang. He entered the Tower Question of God earlier than himself, adding his identity and position as a 9 secret warrior family and his inherent skill. That defense main artifact. It was likely that his influence in the Tower Question of God had reached an unimaginable degree. Many of the elders would defend him. As for Long Fei himself, he was only an examination disciple. If he wanted revenge, he would have to go all out. He had to step on someone. He had to step into death's door. Long Fei's residence. "Young Master Long, it's another 3 days of rest time. How about we go down the mountain for a bit? It's boring here anyway," Yi Jingyun suggested. After the third round of exams was over, there were a few more rounds to go. Originally, they had been going through it consecutively, but now that Ling Ju had been killed, Long Fei had displayed such terrifying alchemy and strength that the examination had no choice but to stop. Nangong Yang also said, "Let's go down the mountain for some fun and relax our mind for a bit, then we can prepare for the assessment later on." Long Fei said, "You guys go ahead, I'm not going anymore." He was still thinking about the matter of the Destroy God Mine forging and had been busy these past few days, so he had no time to refine them. This was a super divine mine. Long Fei really wanted to immediately forge a divine weapon. The golden cudgel was easy to use, but it was a trump card and could not be used all the time. Just as Long Fei rejected. The Sleeping Beauty suddenly said, "Master, let's go have fun too. Staying here is rather boring. You still need other materials to refine the Destroy God mine into divine weapon." "Huh?" Long Fei stared blankly for a moment, and said, "What else can you do that I'm thinking?" Nangong Yang and Yi Jingyun were startled, then asked, "Young Master Long, who are you talking to?" Long Fei immediately said, All right, go down the mountain and play tomorrow. Relax for a bit." The next morning, the three of them reported to the Yi Seng elders and then left. "The three of you be careful outside. You must come back in 3 days, do you understand?" The Yi Seng elder explained. Yi Jingyun replied, "Clan elder, don't worry, we guarantee that we will be back soon." They went down the godly mount. Yi Jingyun was as happy as a wild horse that had escaped its restraints. He was free, and said, "I'm really too nervous at this examination site." Nangong Yang rolled her eyes at him, and asked, "Are you feeling relaxed now?" "Of course. Don't you feel the breath of freedom in the air?" Yi Jingyun took a deep breath, his face full of satisfaction. Nangong Yang asked, "Since you like freedom, then why did you come to the tower question of God's examination?" Yi Jingyun's satisfied expression faded, and his expression became somewhat downcast. After smiling bitterly for a bit, he said, "For the clan. I wonder how things are going at home." Yi Jingyun's eyes showed helplessness. He did not want to participate in any tower question of Goddess assessment. He only wanted to be a free and unrestrained popinjay, arrogant and despotic. However, the burden of the clan was on his shoulders, and he had no choice. Everyone has a different responsibility and a different mission. Nangong Yang did. Yi Jingyun did. Long Fei also had his own mission. For brothers, for relatives, for the gods' martial sect. He had no other choice. If he did not enter the tower question of Goddess assessment and used the tower question of God's fame to intimidate the three great forces, then he could only bring his brothers to hide and be suppressed by people everywhere. Ever since he entered the examination for the tower question of God, the Beast City had become much calmer, and no one dared to harass him anymore. Long Fei would observe every night. He had inserted a needle into the Beast City. Nangong Yang said, "Let's not talk about this anymore, Long Fei, where are we going to play?" Long Fei shook his head, and said, "I'm fine with anything, you guys can go wherever you want to." Yi Jingyun said, "Why not go to Skyscraper City?" Long Fei said, "Is there anything fun about it?" Yi Jingyun said, Heh. Of course there's something fun to do. Also, that's my base camp, so I might as well go back and take a look." Long Fei said, "Then Skyscraper City." "Milord." They went to the Skyscraper City, where the Yi family is Song Kwong kneeled on the ground, not daring to raise his head. Therefore, he worked even harder to grasp the movements of Long Fei and the others. When he found out that they had gone to Skyscraper City, he immediately came to report it. Zhon Wushuang slightly said, "All right, you can go back now." Song Kwong said, "Master, our Song family also has some power in the Skyscraper City. Do you want to?" Zhon Wushuang's eyes turned sinister as he turned around and stared at Song Kwong, and said gloomily, "Do you think that your kind of trash family can handle Long Fei?" Song Kwong's body trembled and he immediately kowtowed. The corners of Zhon Wushuang's eyes twitched slightly as thick killing intent burst out from his eyes. Ling Ju's death had made him extremely unhappy, and he had also received pressure from the Alchemy Hall, causing his position in the tower question of God to be threatened. Moreover, most importantly, Long Fei had caught the attention of the tower question of God's powerhouse. Now that the third elder wanted to protect Long Fei, he had to be careful if he wanted to make a move. After all, he was a tower question of God, not his Hellgate. Huff. Zhon Wushuang let out a long breath, suppressed the anger in his heart, and killed an ant-like Song Kwong. There was simply no meaning in it, he said. "Get your people to watch over him closely." Song Kwong replied, "As you wish." With his hands behind his back, Zhong Wushuang stood at the edge of the cliff and looked up to the sky, muttering, "Long Fei, are you going to fight with me? I will definitely make it so that you will never be able to recover." Rumble. The sky darkened as a bolt of lightning pierced through the clouds. It didn't take long for heavy rain to fall. Then, Zhong Wushuang transformed into a ray of light and disappeared. He did not go to the tower question of God, but somewhere else. "In front of us is the skyscraper city." Yi Jingyun became excited. Long Fei looked over. This city was located on top of the mountain peak. From afar, it looked like a pillar holding up the sky, and also, this skyscraper city seemed to be situated on a mountain peak in the middle of the sun. Very special. Long Fei muttered, "This city is really special." Yi Jingyun saw through Long Fei's thoughts and said, "Young Master Long, this mountain was once called Earth Sun Peak." Long Fei said, "Awesome." Nangong Yang's face was slightly red. She knew what they were saying. At this moment, the Sleeping Beauty muttered, "Earth Sun Peak, Great Earth Essence Sun, this is a natural Yang Yuan center. Didn't you want to refine authentic artifact? The Yang God's authentic artifact. Do you want it?" "Huh." Long Fei was stunned on the spot. His heart stirred. The Yang God's authentic artifact. You know how to refine?" Chapter 1407, You Only Have One Chance. Chapter 1407, You Only Have One Chance. Young God's authentic artifact. What is it? Long Fei didn't know, but someone who could be called a god by Sleeping Beauty was definitely not simple. After being asked by Long Fei, the Sleeping Beauty was also stunned for a moment. "That's not right. Why should I doubt myself? I can do anything." He. The Sleeping Beauty immediately giggled and said, "Master, I know everything, so I can naturally forge artifacts as well. If you want to refine the authentic artifact of the Sun God, you still need to prepare some things." Long Fei asked, "Those things?" The Sleeping Beauty said, "This is a natural training ground. It is filled with a rich amount of sky and earth aura. Right now, we still lack one thing, and that is sky and sun aura." What was the fusion of the earth and sky? Long Fei thought about it and became excited. How do I obtain the sky-sun essence chi? The Sleeping Beauty said, "Set up the formation to absorb the scorching sun energy. That is the sky-yang energy. But the way to set up the formation?" The Sleeping Beauty fell into deep thought and said, "Let me think." Thinking. But she wanted to sleep. Long Fei did not go to wake her up either. "Young Master Long, what's wrong?" Yi Jingyun asked as he saw Long Fei stop. Long Fei replied, "Nothing, let's enter the city first." He was not anxious at all. Although it was the authentic artifact of the Sun God that caused people to be extremely excited, to Long Fei, the Sleeping Beauty's sleeping time was more than anything. The three of them landed on the ground and walked to the city gate. There were many people lining up to enter the city and searching one by one. Moreover, they had to pay the fee of 100 silver coins each to enter the city. This was still fine for a martial artist. But to ordinary people, this was an astronomical figure. Yi Jingyun slightly said, "How can this be? I have never done this before. Young Master Long, you guys stay here. I'll go ask around." Yi Jingyun frowned. He had a feeling that something had happened to the skyscraper city. "No money? You want to enter the city without money? Do you think that anyone can enter the skyscraper city? Old thing, scram to the side." The two guards kicked an old man onto the ground and viciously beat him up. The surrounding people all revealed expressions of fear. That old man rolled on the ground and repeatedly said, "My lords, please do it. My wife is still waiting for my medicine to come back and save her. I beg you, please let me in. I will definitely make up for it next time." A pot-bellied city guard leader stared at the old man on the ground and said, "You have the money to catch the medicine, and you don't have the money to pay the entrance fees? Do you think lousy is AF * king fool? Fight to the death. If we don't give these troublesome people some face, they will really think that we're vegetarians." And then, two guards went up and beat the crap out of them. No one dared to stop him. If this continued, the old man would definitely be beaten to death. Things like this happened every day. It happened so often that everyone was numb to it. No one, no matter whether they were fighters or ordinary people, would dare to resist. The reason was simple. Because they were afraid of the power of the Yi family. This is bullying. Nangong Yang could not bear to watch any further. In this instant, Long Fei had already made his move. Bang, bang, bang. 4 fists were thrown out. The 4 guards hung on the wall, their bodies caved in and their backs were fractured. Even if they were to be saved, one of them would still be crippled. Who dares to meddle in the affairs of the Yi family? The pot-bellied man suddenly stood up and stared at Long Fei. Although Long Fei had released his full strength, he was not afraid at all. Instead, he looked at Long Fei with disdain. Long Fei said, "There are so many people bullying an old man, you sure are capable. I've paid for him." Before he finished speaking, he threw a profound stone over. Long Fei asked coldly, "Is that enough?" Seeing the glow in the profound stone's eyes, the fatty immediately said, "Enough, very enough. Geezer, you can go in now." The fat guy shouted. The old man knelt down and was stopped by Long Fei, and said, "Quickly go back, you have been delayed." Thank you, my lord." The old man was moved to tears as he whispered, "My lord, you have to be careful." He hurried into the city. Long Fei followed him in, but he could not find anything. The fat guy sneered and said, "He can enter the city, but..." The fatty's finger moved as he pointed at Long Fei and said, "You can't." Long Fei smirked, and said indifferently, "Why can't I do it?" Fatty said, "You still want to leave after hitting my people? Mph, do you think anyone in my Yi family can move? Kid, today, either you take out 100 profound stones as compensation, or die here." Fatty's voice turned cold, and all the guards around the city gate surrounded him. They were all aggressive and arrogant. Normally, they were acting arrogantly and no one dared to contend against them. At this time, Nangong Yang quickly walked over. Long Fei. The fatty looked at Nangong Yang with lustful eyes and laughed sinisterly. "I'll give you one more choice. Make the beauty beside you accompany me for 3 days and make me feel comfortable." Not waiting for him to finish. Bam! Long Fei's figure moved, and threw out a punch. The 250-kilogram fatty was sent flying. All of his front teeth were broken and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The fatty was screaming in pain. Ah! You dog, you dare to hit your father? Even God can't save you today. Go, kill him. Kill that girl for me. Tonight, I'm going to ruthlessly. Not waiting for him to finish. Long Fei's figure moved again as he stomped his foot down towards the fatty's face. Pa! The bridge of his nose collapsed. There was a sunken footprint on his face, and he was in so much pain that he couldn't even make a sound. It was extremely painful. Long Fei said coldly, "If it wasn't for young Master Yi, you would have already died. Lousy doesn't care about what young Master Yi is called, you're dead for sure today." Fatty retreated. He was not afraid. Instead, he became even more furious and shouted, "Kill him." More than 10 guards rushed forward, their spears moved, and all of them pointed at Long Fei. Their voices sunk as they shouted loudly, "Kill, kill." Long Fei's mouth revealed a cold sneer, the demonic god's killing intent in his heart surged. He stared at the fatty and said, "I will give you a chance, have you thought this through clearly?" The fatty's mind went cold. His body couldn't help but tremble when he looked at Long Fei, and said with a heavy voice, "Are you considering your ancestors? Kill him." Not waiting for him to finish. Long Fei's figure disappeared. It was also at this time that Yi Jingyun shouted loudly, "Young Master Long." But, in that instant, Long Fei's power was already unleashed. Chapter 1409, Don't Give Me the Face to Be Shameless. Chapter 1409, Don't Give Me the Face to Be Shameless. Skyscraper City was an ancient city. From the very beginning, the Chaos Realm existed. Qingtian Peak was also considered to be the location of the Chaos Realm's essence sun. In the center of the mountain was a huge cave made of the blazing sun, which was like a volcano. The heat inside the cave could nurture a drop of a long yang marrow for 10,000 years. This was a type of profound qi that could temper the physical body. It had the effect of reviving the dead, and was a powerful secret treasure of the Yi family. Rumors. There was a powerhouse in the Yi family that relied on Long Yang Marrow to enter the divinity, and also entered the ancient holy battlefield. What happened after that was unknown. To be able to enter the divinity, to be able to enter it, was enough to prove the impressiveness of Long Yang Marrow. When Yi Tiancheng said this, the entire hall shook violently. Even the supporters of Yi Tianxing could not help but look at him seriously. Volume Question of God were bought with money, they did not care about these things. But Long Yang Marrow could be said to determine the fate of the Yi family. Yi Tianxing frowned slightly, and said, I will divide the Long Yang Marrow according to the ancestors' wishes. Whoever can obtain them will depend on their own fate. Opportunity? Ancestor, you mean? Who would believe that? Patriarch, we endured about the volume Question of God last time. This time you used the meaning of ancestor and opportunity to fool us. Do you take us as 3-year-old children? Yi Tiancheng said in an overbearing manner. He would absolutely not back down in this matter. Moreover, as long as he could control the Long Yang Marrow, he could control the entire Yi family. Without waiting for Yi Tiancheng to speak, Yi Tianxing said heavily, if you are not up to the rank of patriarch, I can substitute, directly driving the emperor to his death. The eyes of the elders were startled, revealing a look of excitement. At this moment, Yi Jingyun walked into the hall and said slightly, Uncle, are you that impatient? Everyone turned to look at that direction. Yi Tianxing was also stunned for a moment. Yi Tiancheng looked at Yi Jingyun and sneered, you actually have the guts to come back here, you piece of trash? You've completely disgraced the Yi family. Yi Jingyun laughed coldly, it doesn't matter to you whether I throw the Yi family's face or not, what does it have to do with you? You, on the other hand, have always been eyeing the position of the clan leader covetously. What do you want to do? You want to rebel? Don't forget, Grandpa said before when he was still alive that you are never allowed to be the leader of the Yi family. Simply put, anyone can be the leader of the Yi family, but only you can't. How dare you? Yi Tiancheng raged, with bloodshot eyes he stared fiercely at Yi Jingyun, and said, just now speaking to me in such a manner, even if I kill you now, you deserve it. Kill me. Come on. Yi Jingyun was not afraid in the slightest. Yi Tianxing slightly shouted, shocking cloud, enough. Big brother, I will seriously consider the matter of the Long Yang Marrow. This is the end of today's meeting. Yi Tianxing said, looking at the people around him, he did not move. Yi Tianxing widely opened his eyes and suddenly shouted, did you not hear what I said? The patriarch's might instantly burst forth. It directly crushed the entire audience. Furthermore, he was staring straight at Yi Tiancheng. Imperceptibly, a powerful pressure rolled out. Yi Tiancheng's expression changed slightly. With a sweep of his sleeve, he said, He walked out of the hall with large strides. The elders in the hall also left. In the end, only Yi Tianxing and Yi Jingyun remained. Phut! Yi Tianxing spat out a mouthful of blood, leapt up, and fell on the chair. Father! Yi Jingyun immediately ran over. Not only did Yi Tianxing arrange for Yi Jingyun to enter the Tower Question of God exam for 1 or 2 days, it was also for no reason other than to help him avoid the internal strife within the clan. This dress is so beautiful. Buy it. This outfit looks good too. Buy it. Money was only a number for Long Fei. Although he did not have much money on him, it was still enough to buy some clothes. However, Nangong Yang had been choosing this entire time, but she didn't buy a single one, because she cared deeply about Long Fei's profound stones. Are you going to buy it or not? Long Fei followed behind Nangong Yang. He didn't understand at all, he didn't buy anything when shopping. What if he went for a hammer? What kind of animal is a woman? The more they browsed, the crazier they went. Long Fei was willing to kill demon beastess for a whole day than to follow a woman shopping. It was just too tiring. Nangong Yang laughed. Of course I bought it, I haven't chosen one that I like yet. At this moment, Nangong Yang saw an extremely exquisite light blue dress on the shelf. It was extremely beautiful and he was immediately attracted by it. The owner of the shop immediately said, "My lady has good eyes. This piece of clothing was on the shelf today. It was made from 10,000 blue crane feathers. It can be said that this is the only piece of cloth in the entire Chaos realm." Nangong Yang gently touched it, and it felt very gentle, like a feather. Long Fei saw the fondness in her eyes and immediately asked, "How much is this set of clothes?" The owner said, "This set of clothes is a bit expensive." Long Fei said, "Just tell me how much it is." The owner said, 1,000,000 mystical stones. Nangong Yang immediately retracted his hand, and said to himself, 1,000,000 profound stones? It's too expensive. At this moment, a 20-something-year-old girl walked up and said, "This outfit is so beautiful, I'll buy it." Long Fei slightly said, "Sorry, we took a liking to it first, I'll buy it." The woman immediately revealed a look of disdain, coldly looked at Long Fei, and said, "Country bumpkin, can you afford it? Furthermore, do you know who I am?" Nangong Yang tugged at the corner of Long Fei's clothes, and said, "Forget it, that's too expensive." "Did you hear that? It's too expensive. Don't embarrass yourself if you can't afford it." The woman sneered and said, "Pauper." Long Fei did not look at the woman again, but instead looked at the shop owner and asked, "Boss, all the things in your shop? Forget it, how much is this store of yours worth?" Long Fei was too lazy to explain. The shop owner said, "If it's me, my store, everything added to the storefront would be worth around 4,000,000 Shen stones." As soon as he finished, Long Fei immediately took out 50 Shen crystal S and said, "I'll buy 50 of them. 50 of them would then amount to 5,000,000 profound stones." The owner was grinning from ear to ear. Long Fei coldly looked at the woman, and said, "Please get out, understand?" The woman's face was ugly and her eyes were burning with anger. She did not go out but shouted, "Husband, someone is bullying me. I want you to kill him." Then, a few underlings rushed in from outside. The woman sneered coldly and said, "If you offend me, I will make sure you die an ugly death." Long Fei looked at the people around her, and said, "Just these few people? Is there anyone else?" The woman's face darkened. "It's enough to deal with a leopard like you." Before he could finish his words, "Pa, pa, pa," Long Fei continuously attacked, and every single one of them fell to the ground with a slap. Long Fei stared at the woman again, and said, "Is that enough? Don't be so shameless. Understand?" The young woman's face was pale and her body was faintly trembling. It was also at this time that a man in a fur coat came into the shop. "Who is it that bullies my woman when they're tired of living?" Chapter 14:10 I'll show you only one person. Chapter 14:10 I'll show you only one person who the hell is tired of living. Who dares to bully my woman? A tycoon who looked like a hedonistic young master walked into the shop. He did not look at Long Fei, but stared at him instead. "Yi Yu." The woman's eyes blazed with fury. Yi Yu immediately regained his senses, stared at Long Fei and said, "Brat, you're the one that bullied my woman?" Long Fei did not want to waste time with him, and said, "This is my shop now, it is not open to the public, please leave." "Humph." Yi Yu laughed coldly, "You opened this shop?" The woman pouted and said, "He just bought the store." Yi Yu said, "So what? This skyscraper city belongs to my Yi family, so what can you do about buying this shop? Kid, I see that the woman beside you is beautiful, I'll give you a chance to live." The woman immediately laughed complacently and looked at Long Fei with contempt. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "What's a chance to live?" Yi Yu said, "It's simple, kneel down and apologize to my woman, then sell the woman beside you to me as my slave. Of course, I will only give you one son." "Oh." Long Fei replied, "Then I'll also give you a chance to live. Now, immediately scram out of my shop, or else, you'll crawl out from here. You are King Shameless, aren't you? Do you know who I am? You want to stay in Skyscraper City after offending me?" Yi Yu was instantly enraged. Long Fei said indifferently, "You still have 3 seconds to make your choice." 3. Yi Yu stared at Long Fei, "I chose you, old man, if you have the guts, you can make a move on me. Do you believe that I can get people to kick you out of this shop any second?" 2. Long Fei completely ignored him. Yi Yu sneered, "I'll see how you'll make me crawl out." 1. As soon as he finished, the aura on Long Fei's body suddenly fluctuated. 1. A strong pressure pressed down, causing Yi Yu's body to sink. Long Fei then slapped him onto the ground, and before Yi Yu could get up, he ruthlessly stepped on him. Bam! Phut! Yi Yu spat out a mouthful of blood, his face extremely pale, as he scolded, "You dare hit this daddy, today you're dead, you." Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Long Fei stomped down twice. Crack! Crack! His knees were shattered, and he was unable to stand up. Long Fei gave a slight sneer and said, "You're dead for sure." "Who's dead for sure?" Yi Yu was so frightened that his entire body was trembling. He used both of his hands to support himself and crawled out quickly, shouting, "Help! Help! Help!" Long Fei did not chase after him, and said, "I crawled out like this." The lady at the side shivered, her lips turned purple, she no longer dared to look into Long Fei's eyes. Nangong Yang walked forward, and said indifferently, "My man doesn't like to hit women, but you despise my man, what are you?" Before he could finish, the aura on Nangong Yang's body also burst out, his fist striking the woman's chest, directly causing her breasts to cave in. He flew out of the store. "The chest over there is probably. It would never recover." Bam! A loud sound came from outside the shop and the woman was unconscious. Yi Yu started to shout even louder, and said, "Someone come quickly, someone come quickly." In the shop, Nangong Yang slightly said, "Aren't we being too high profile?" "High profile?" As Long Fei spoke, he took down the blue feathered robe that was worth 1,000,000 profound stones and said, "Why do I feel that it's very low key? Go and change it for a look, this dress is very cool." It looked transparent. If it were in his previous life, it could be regarded as an interesting outfit. Nangong Yang's face turned slightly red, he did not refuse to take the clothes and went into the changing room, saying, "That person from earlier is called Yi Yu, he should be a member of the Yi family. Will Yi Jingyun be affected?" Long Fei said, "Don't worry about that for now, who cares about the effects or not? It pisses me off, he was like that. If you make me unhappy, I will make your entire family unhappy." A few minutes later, wearing a blue feather dress, Nangong Yang walked out. Her face was slightly red, her legs were slender, and completely white. Any man who saw it would have the urge to commit a crime. Long Fei watched in a daze. Nangong Yang's cheeks reddened, and she said, "It was pretty, right? Good. That's what you wear at night." Long Fei smiled slightly. Nangong Yang's cheeks became even redder as she lightly nodded her head and said, "Then at night, I will only wear it for you to see alone. Forever." These clothes were too much. Walking on the street would definitely cause traffic jams and accidents. Moreover, did not want Long Fei to waste all his time on these things. As long as Long Fei said that it was nice to watch, she would always wear it for Long Fei to see alone. Yi family. Shocking clouds, failure isn't scary. I'm afraid that if you fail, you won't be able to stand up. Yi Tianxing consoled Yi Jingyun. On the way back from the tower question of God. Obviously, the assessment had failed. After all, he was a tower question of God. Passing the examination was even harder than ascending to heaven. Yi Jingyun laughed bitterly. "Father, it's not what you think." Yi Tianxing said, "Father does not blame you, but you really shouldn't come back this time, you should leave Skyscraper City tonight. Just run as far as you can." Yi Jingyun's heart sank, and said, "Father, did something happen? Big uncle is very aggressive, what does he want to do?" Yi Tianxing said, "You do not need to worry about the Yi family matters, I can handle it. I'll leave tonight." Yi Tianxing saw that Yi Jingyun had not seen him in a short half a month. He realized that his son had grown up differently, and he was very pleased with himself. Yi Jingyun grinned, "I'm back, I don't intend to leave so soon." "Right. Dad, I still have 2 friends in the city. I'll take you to see them. They're amazing. You can't even imagine how amazing they are," Yi Jingyun said with an excited expression. Yi Tianxing also faintly smiled. Of course. He did not take Yi Jingyun's words seriously. Even if the people eliminated together with Yi Jingyun were powerful, how powerful could they be? I'm not going. You youngsters have a good time. We'll leave together tonight, Yi Tianqing said indifferently. At this moment, a guard entered the courtyard. Reporting to the patriarch, just now the third elder rushed out with the Yi clan disciples. Yi Tianqing asked, "What happened?" The guard said, "Yi Yu has been beaten to a pulp by someone." That's right, that's right, that's right. He was injured by the man and woman that young master brought back. Yi Jingyun was shocked. Damn it, third uncle, if you dare to touch my friends, I will not let you go. Killed his way out. Table of contents. Chapter 14:11 Surround. Chapter 14:11 Surround. The Yi family was indeed the overlord of the skyscraper city. In less than 5 minutes, the outside of the clothing store was completely surrounded. Armor guard. The Yi clan disciples were on full alert. Is that the person who came back with Yi Jingyun? That's right. PH, the tower question of God's elimination, just trash. Perfect. Yi Tianqing's eyes turned sinister, and said, "We will use this opportunity to attack Yi Tianqing, and if Yi Jingyun dares to come out and obstruct us, we will cripple him." Yi Yu said, "Father, I want you to kill him, kill that dog couple." Yi Tianqing took a glance at Yi Yu, then let out a light breath and said, "Carry him down, and properly recuperate from your injuries." "No. I don't want to go down. I want to see him die with my own eyes." The anger in Yi Yu's heart flared up. Since he was young, he had never been in such a sorry state. No one had ever dared to bully him. He must take revenge. Yi Tianqing waved his hand and said, "Then, let's carry him over. Remember, first we'll destroy the handicapped, then we'll slowly play with him until he dies." Yi Tianqing sneered. "Perhaps. This is an opportunity." "Yes, sir." An elder withdrew. "It's full of people," Nangong Yang said slightly. "Their cultivations are all at the moon stage, and their strength is not weak. A family with so many moon stage experts is considered not bad. There are even a few S in the group." Long Fei immediately lost interest after sweeping a glance, because there wasn't a single boss. Without a boss, there was no spirit. Moreover, the Sleeping Beauty had said that apart from borrowing the Earth-Sun essence energy to refine the Sun God authentic artifact, there was also something else that they would need. With Long Fei's understanding of the game, these things should be able to be dropped from the boss's body. Boss. He needed the boss. With the help of the Earth-Sun essence, coupled with the Destroy God Mind Stone, he refined the Sun God authentic artifact and used his own strength to nurture it. Then, it would become his authentic artifact. That was awesome. Nangong Yang looked at Long Fei with a face filled with casualness, and said, "Are you not worried?" Long Fei laughed, and said, "What are you worried about?" "Are you worried about these people?" Nangong Yang glanced at these people, and said, "That's right, you can even kill Oracle, these people are simply not worthy of your notice." Long Fei replied, "That's not it either. I'm just too lazy to kill them, that's all. But if they attack first, Long Fei laughed with killing intent. At this moment, third elder Yi Tiantang heavily shouted, "Brat, get the hell out here." "Ha!" Many disciples shouted. Long Fei ignored him and continued to choose his clothes. Then, Yi Tianting's face darkened. "Go!" The two guards rushed into the shop. Bang, bang. Two muffled sounds rang out as the two of them flew out of the store and crashed into the ground. They died. Instant kill. It was also at this time that Long Fei patted the dust off his hands, and said slightly, Stop nagging, let's attack together, don't waste my time." Dozens of people, that was equivalent to several hundred striking energy value. Right now, there was only one domain treasure. Main gun still needed 4 domain treasures to fill it up, and these people could provide one. Too arrogant. How can the skyscraper city allow you to behave so atrociously? Yi Tianjiao let out a heavy shout and said, "Charge! Kill him!" Long Fei was not afraid in the slightest. He did not care about these people at all. At this moment, a voice came from the back of the crowd and shouted, I want to see who King dares to touch my friend. As soon as he finished. Boom. Yi Jingyun landed heavily on the ground and stood beside Long Fei. He stared at Yi Tianting and said, "Third uncle, he is my friend." Yi Tianting said, "So what if you friend? You three are waste, but dare to behave so atrociously in the skyscraper city. Injuring Yi Yu, if we let him go today, what would be our Yi family's face? Yi Jingyun, you better leave. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." Yi Tianting was secretly happy because Yi Jingyun had gotten involved. Long Fei slightly said, "You can go to the side." Yi Jingyun did not move, but said, "Third uncle, I'm doing it for your own good, and for the Yi family's good, do not make a move, or else. You cannot afford the consequences." Who is Long Fei? He could even kill the elder Chang Dao and the hall master of the Pill Hall. Why would he be afraid of these people? Ha ha ha. Yi Tianjiao loudly laughed. The surrounding Yi family disciples and guards also laughed out loud. They felt that this was a very funny joke. Yi Tianting said, "Can't bear the consequences? It's said that all things are grouped together, and all people are grouped in groups. No one has said anything about it, as trash likes to be together with trash. Try saying trash again." Long Fei interrupted him immediately. Yi Tianting was displeased that his words were interrupted. He glared at Long Fei and said, "Trash, trash, I say you are a trash, but can you take me?" Shua. Suddenly, an after-image flashed past like a bolt of lightning. Long Fei suddenly appeared behind Yi Tianting, coldly saying, "Die." Yi Tianting coldly laughed and said, "Just based on a useless trash like you." Before he could even say the word thing, his neck suddenly felt a sharp pain, followed by a line of blood that seeped out. His throat cracked, and his body became cold and gloomy. Moreover, he could no longer feel his own heartbeat, nor his own brain. The world was spinning and shaking. His head fell off his neck. Just now, Long Fei's wave of force had directly broke his neck. It was a complete mess. Blood sprayed wildly. Long Fei laughed coldly. "Who's the trash?" Yi Jingyun also said slightly, "I told you not to act recklessly, how is it now? What's the point?" The surrounding Yi family disciples were all shocked. His face was pale and his mouth was parched. Was he even human? They had never seen such speed or power before. All of them were shocked by Long Fei. None of them dared to move. It was also at this time. How dare a mere level 3 mortal realm trash act so arrogantly in my skyscraper city? A deep voice sounded, filled with rage. The crowd quickly retreated. A red-haired old man was filled with killing intent. The 4 people beside him were carrying a proud son, who was sitting on top of the seat, and was being beaten up and crippled by Long Fei. Yi Yu bellowed angrily, "What are you bunch of trash doing just standing there? Kill him. Go ahead. What are you afraid of? Brat, I said it already, you're dead today." Yi Jingyun trembled slightly, and reminded Long Fei, "That red-haired old man is the strongest general under Yi Tiancheng, and is ranked in the top 5 of the Yi family. Mortal realm rank 6. Long Fei smiled slightly as he looked at red-haired old man, and said, "Finally, a decent person has arrived. Although he wasn't a boss. But it was an elite monster. Moreover." Just then, the Sleeping Beauty suddenly said, "He cultivates the pure yang force, we need this kind of power." Chapter 14:12, Pure Yang Force. Chapter 14:12, Pure Yang Force. When the Sleeping Beauty said this, Long Fei became even more interested. Pure Yang Force. Is it the materials to refine the Sun God authentic artifact? Long Fei asked in his heart. The Sleeping Beauty said, "I guess so. If you can't find a better pure power, you can only use this to replace it." "Oh. Then he has 4 people now." Long Fei smiled slightly. Yi Yu and the old man also walked over. Yi Yu stared at Long Fei. "You dog, you dare to touch me? Do you know who I am now? I will skin you alive and make you into a human chair so that your body will be hung on the city walls. I will let everyone know the consequences of provoking me, Yi Yu." "You're done." Long Fei replied faintly. Yi Yu was extremely furious, and was extremely furious at Long Fei's disdainful expression, and shouted, "You still dare to be arrogant? Are you really done playing?" Long Fei impatiently said, "I'll give you another chance, shut up." When Yi Yu heard the words "I'll give you a chance," his heart shook and felt a chill down his spine. He couldn't help but feel afraid, but seeing the people around him, Yi Yu shouted once again, and said, "Brat, you still dare to be arrogant?" Before he could finish, Long Fei's figure disappeared. Red-hair old man immediately stood beside Yi Yu to protect him. At this moment, in the sky, a staff was thrown down. A deep voice rang out, "A man can't play around with his words. If you don't bother this daddy, then I'll be annoyed." Rumble. A heavy strike came smashing down. Yi Yu basically did not have time to react, and he simply had no way of reacting either. Even the red-hair old man was stupefied. Paji. Just like smacking a mosquito, Yi Yu was smashed into a pile of meat paste. Lying in a pool of blood, only his lips were still twitching, as if he wanted to say something. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Yi Yu for obtaining 100 experience, Holy Source Points x10, Energy Values x10. Congratulations, player. Fart. 100 EXP, not as much as a fly. Long Fei disdained in his heart. It was his first time killing someone with such little experience. Long Fei was truly disdainful to kill this kind of person, but if you didn't kill him, he would always be like a fly in front of you. Red-hair old man's eyes were filled with rage as he stared at the pile of meat on the ground. His fury soared as he roared loudly, "Kill him! Whoever dares to take half a step back, I will not hold back." Red-hair old man grabbed the two disciples beside him and threw them heavily at Xiong Longfei. Yi Jingyun shouted, "You are all disciples of the Yi family, not Yi Tiancheng's private army. You all have seen his cultivation just now, it's only one life, please cherish it for yourself." Many people were afraid. At the same time, quite a few people rushed forward. However, Long Fei did not show mercy anymore. It was not hard to tell from Yi Jingyun's tone that these were his hostile forces within the Yi family. He moved his hands and made a grasping motion. Every time he attacked, he would be instantly killed. Ding, ding, ding. The system beeps flew up, but their experience points were not high. Currently, people at his level of cultivation who were lower than him had pitifully little experience, but what he wanted was not experience points, but striking energy value. Boom, boom. People kept rushing forward, and people kept falling. Yi Jingyun and Nangong Yang didn't even have the chance to attack. Charge forward. Fleeing. Die. The red hair pulled his 5 fingers into a claw and grabbed the top of the man's head. 5 bloody holes appeared and the man instantly fell to the ground, dead. His methods were vicious. They're fighting. Patriarch, the battle started. A guard ran into the courtyard to report. Yi Tianxing asked, "Is Jingyun all right?" The guard said, "The young master is fine, but Yi Yu is dead, and so is the third elder. More than half of the disciples groomed by the great clan elder over the years have died." "Huh?" Yi Tianxing's expression shook. "What did you say?" The guard said, "Patriarch, that brat is too powerful. The third elder was instantly killed, I'm afraid. This time, the great elder is going to fall flat on his head." Yi Tianxing immediately said, "Bring me there. Grand Elder's estate. First elder, it's bad, we're fighting." A flustered guard ran in. Yi Tiancheng slightly said, "Since they are already fighting, then why should we be so nervous?" The guard said, third elder is dead. Furthermore, young master is dead too." "What?" Yi Tiancheng suddenly stood up, and with a heavy smack of his right hand, the entire table was turned into fine powder. A powerful aura rolled out. The guard could not take it and said with difficulty, "Many disciples have died. Great elder, you should quickly go and take a look." Boom. The aura on Yi Tiancheng's body burst forth, transforming into a ball of flame that rushed out. "You're the only one left." Long Fei looked at red-hair old man and smiled slightly. "Is being at the 6th level of the Chen stage really that awesome? Come, let me see you're amazing." Long Fei looked at the red-haired old man in front of him and gave a cold smile. The red-haired old man stared at Long Fei and said, "This is the skyscraper city. After killing so many people, don't even think about escaping." Long Fei shrugged his shoulders and laughed. "I never thought of escaping." "Why did you escape?" "Right." Long Fei asked, "How did you cultivate the pure yang force on your body?" "This matter is very important. If I can find a way for them to cultivate the pure yang force, then maybe I can find a pure power." Red-haired old man's eyes trembled, and he said, "You actually know that I cultivate the pure yang force. Who exactly are you?" Long Fei said, "Don't say that. I will answer whatever I ask you so that you can live longer. If you continue talking like that, then that is what will happen to you." Red-haired old man shouted, "Brat, who do you think you are? Since you know that I cultivate the pure yang force, then you should know how powerful I am." As soon as he finished, boom! Red-haired old man rushed forward and released a very dense power, as though the blazing sun had suddenly landed on top of Long Fei's head. The heat was unbearable. "This is the pure yang force." The corner of Long Fei's mouth twitched, and his body slowly melted into magma. Red-haired old man punched down. Long Fei's body did not move. The burst of magma directly sucked the red-haired old man in. His right hand moved, suck star over China. "Hand over all your pure yang force." Boom! He frantically sucked in the red-haired old man, and the dense pure yang force was absorbed into his body. It was also at this time Long Fei's body became hot and dry. For some reason, his murderous intent became stronger. "Kid! Stop!" Yi Tiancheng roared, and a heavy pressure came crashing down. Chapter 14:13, Target Lock. Chapter 14:13, Target Lock. Hot. It was incomparably hot. Long Fei activated his magmatic fruit, but his body still felt incomparably hot and dry, causing him to be extremely irritated and filled with a strong killing intent. Facing Yi Tiancheng's suppression, Long Fei was not afraid at all. He bellowed loudly, "If you say stop, then stop. Who the **CK are you?" His eyes were crimson red. The lava all over his body was boiling. The suck star over China on his right hand consumed the pure yang force in red-haired old man's body even more frantically. At the moment of lightning flash, Yi Tiancheng unleashed all his firepower as he heavily slashed Xiong Longfei with his palm. With a roar, he said, "Brat, die for me." Yi Jingyun suddenly moved and leaned forward. "Young Master Long, be careful." At this moment, Nangong Yang also moved in the air and clashed with the sword in his hand. The sword in his hand transformed into countless of sword beams that immediately sealed off Yi Tiancheng's attack. However, useless. The blazing flames that exploded out of Yi Tiancheng's body got closer and closer to Nangong Yang and burnt away his sword chi. Pure yang force, an incomparably thick and dense pure yang force, was at least 10 times more powerful than what the red-haired old man had. It was so powerful that all the water in the air in the entire skyscraper city seemed to have evaporated in an instant. It became incomparably dry and cracked. The ground began to crack at a speed visible to the naked eye. The surrounding buildings were instantly transformed into dust. Pure yang force. It has the attribute of destruction. Long Fei was overwhelmed with shock. He had never thought that the pure yang force would be powerful to this extent, but he became even more excited. If the pure yang force was so powerful, how strong would the sun god authentic artifact be? Excited. Too excited. Nangong Yang's expression tightened, and shouted, "Long Fei, careful." She could not resist. However, she did not retreat. The sword chi was burned away. The long sword in her hand moved, blocking the attack. Die. Boom. The long sword in Nangong Yang's hand turned into liquid and dropped down little by little, but could not bear the pure yang force that erupted from Yi Tiancheng's body. Too strong. However, Nangong Yang did not release any evil energy. Long Fei growled out, "Boom." Magma explosion fist. Boom, boom, boom. A few consecutive punches sent the red-haired old man flying, and with a heavy chop from his feet, His body soared to the sky and landed right in front of Yang, staring at him. Drip. Swish. As the magma flowed, his eyes became increasingly vicious. Killing intent exploded out. In that instant, a domineering aura burst out from within Long Fei's magmatic fruitess. Yang's body could not hold on and directly fell from the sky. Yi Jingyun also felt a little dizzy. In the distance, wherever the domineering aura went, those below the Morningstar realm all fell to the ground. How domineering, don't let Long Fei understand it all. It was under the stimulation of the pure yang force that the domineering aura of the magmatic fruit and the large-scale red dog was activated, forming a strong impact on Yi Tiancheng. Although he did not faint, his strength had been greatly reduced. At this moment, Long Fei's fists exploded, blood moon punch, lava surged, and in this instant, it became incomparably hard rock. A fist struck forward explosively, directly smashing into Yi Tiancheng's lower jaw. One punch. Blood moon punch had an insta-kill property. However, this time, he didn't succeed. Long Fei did not stop. In the instant that Yi Tiancheng was blasted flying, he charged forward and quickly arrived at the point where Yi Tiancheng landed on the ground. Clenching both of his fists, he formed a battle axe and cleaved down heavily. Who wants their life now? Rumble. Phut. Yi Tiancheng's body caved in as he spat out a large mouthful of blood. Then, his body fell onto the ground with a heavy thump, creating a deep crater. However, his reaction was not slow, even though he was severely injured. After smashing into the deep pit, he quickly jumped out of the pit to prevent Long Fei from attacking again. Long Fei looked at the amount of blood on top of Yi Tiancheng's head and muttered in his heart, the two critical hits only hit him with 1/3 of his HP, and the pure yang force still has a defense. Or could it be that he has a defensive treasure on him? Come on. Long Fei gave a heavy shout, and said, "Didn't you want my life? Come again." Yi Tiancheng's mouth was bleeding, his eyes staring straight at Long Fei. He asked, "Who exactly are you?" Long Fei was not simple. What was the lava on his body? Moreover, just now, he did not release that oppressive might, but it did give him a huge impact. What kind of power was this? He had never felt such power before. It was also because of that instant that Long Fei found the chance to enter a trance. Domineering. The dominance of the One Piece. How could he understand? Not to mention him, even Long Fei had only just released the domineering aura that a General Red Dog possessed. Hearing Yi Tiancheng's words, Long Fei's heart trembled as he looked at the system's flickering red light. Ding. Congratulations player Long Fei for comprehending King's Tyrant Flame. You have gained 100,000 experience points, 10,000 holy source points, and 10,000 points as a special reward. Domineering King's Breath. Awesome. Long Fei grinned, "I'm the one who killed you." The pure yang force on Yi Tiancheng's body was too dense, it was the power he needed to refine the Yang God authentic artifact. Kid, don't be too arrogant. The anger in Yi Tiancheng's heart surged, and his eyes became bloodshot. He kept thinking about Long Fei's identity. The final result was the expert that Yi Tianxing found from the outside. His heart had also become cold. Yi Tianxing, Yi Tianxing, Yi Tianxing, although I have done many things that let you down, I did not want your life. Since you made the first move, then I. The corners of Yi Tiancheng's eyes twitched a few times. Long Fei laughed. This daddy has always been this arrogant since young. What can you do? Stop wasting my breath, directly do it. At this time, Yi Tianxing descended and said, "This brother, please wait." Long Fei's gaze turned cold, and he said, "Are you here to stop me as well?" Yi Jingyun immediately said, "Young Master Long, he is my father." Yi Tiancheng immediately laughed. "Yi Tianxing, you are really vicious. You actually found an assassin to deal with me regarding the Yi family's internal matters? All right. I admit defeat today. But," Yi Tiancheng said coldly, "this matter will not end like this. Just you wait." Finished. Yi Tiancheng instantly escaped, transforming into a ball of flowing light that flew out of Skyscraper City. Trying to run? Long Fei wanted to chase after him. "Have you asked this daddy?" The idea moved. Long Fei immediately took out the golden cudgel, and it quickly evolved and became a level 1 warrior. Long Fei killed and exploded consecutively, and his energy values had already been fully filled up. Ding! Target locked. Chapter 14:14 Good boy, you're finally here. Chapter 14:14 Good boy, you're finally here. How could a duck with its mouth let it escape? Definitely not. Carrying the dragon coffin on his shoulder, Long Fei wanted to shoot a cannonball into the sky, but suddenly blocked in front of Long Fei and said, "Little brother, can you let him go?" Yi Tianxing didn't know why either. When Long Fei took out the dragon coffin, he already felt a strong sense of danger, so he naturally blocked it. Because Yi Tiancheng was his big brother. Brother by blood. Yi Jingyun also walked over and said, "Young Master Long, please let my uncle go this once." The two pleaded. Long Fei's eyes grew cold as he replied, "He has already made it clear that he will not let this go easily. Rather than leaving behind some hidden dangers, it's better to solve the problem at hand." Yi Tianxing said, "No matter what he did, he is still my big brother, and everything he did in the Yi family today can be said to be ruined. I beg you to spare his life." Yi Jingyun looked at Long Fei with pleading eyes. "Huff. That's all you have to say. All right, it's up to you guys." Long Fei could only give up. Although he knew that Yi Tiancheng would definitely return to take revenge, this was a matter for the Yi family. Moreover, if Yi Tiancheng had a strong power backing him, it might even attract some boss-level characters for him, which wasn't bad. Long line, big fish. You better not come back. If you do, he. Long Fei smiled slightly in his heart. Yi Tianxing was very fast. He knew how to take control of the situation. When Yi Tiancheng escaped, he only needed a few hours to suppress those who opposed him. This was a method. Yi family, Yi Tianxing's courtyard. Brother Long, this time, the Yi family's internal strife really thanks you for your help. Jingyun also mentioned you to me and said that you had always taken care of him. Thank you. Yi Tianxing said. Long Fei's appearance had helped him greatly. This gave him time to prepare. Long Fei said, "He's my brother, there's no need to thank me for taking care of him. Clan leader Yi, I would like to ask, do you know how to cultivate the pure yang force?" There was a pure yang force in Red Hair Old Man, but it had been absorbed by Long Fei, but it was still not enough. Originally, he could have absorbed Yi Tiancheng's pure yang force, but he escaped. Long Fei had no choice but to ask Yi Tianxing. Yi Tianxing's eyes revealed a look of astonishment. He was hesitant, but still said it out, and said, "The pure yang force is our Yi family's top secret, and also Skyscraper City's secret. It is a power that only our Yi family can cultivate." Long Fei slightly said, "If I'm not wrong, there should be a wave of Earth-Sun Essence Qi under the Skyscraper City, and the Yi family's pure yang force should also come from the Earth-Sun Essence Qi, right?" This was what the Sleeping Beauty had said. You want Long Fei to see it. He wouldn't be able to tell even if he looked at it for the rest of his life. Furthermore, he didn't like to think about things that he could do. The shock in Yi Tianxing's eyes became even stronger, and he said, "Brother Long is right, there is indeed a wave of Earth-Yang essence beneath the Skyscraper City. Our Yi family calls it the Long-Yang Marrow." As soon as he finished, the Sleeping Beauty suddenly said, "That's right, Long-Yang Marrow. If you can get them, then you can completely refine the Sun God's authentic artifact." The pure Yang force was not as powerful as the pure power, but it was far less powerful and ferocious than the power of Long Yang. The Yang God's authentic artifact needed to be tempered by Long Yang Marrow. Long Fei was secretly shocked in his heart. Yi Tianxing continued to speak. It can be said that this Long Yang Marrow is able to form a single drop every 10,000 years. It can be said to be incomparably precious. It's just that I don't know if these rumors are true or false. The reason why Yi Tiancheng controlled the Yi family is because of the Long Yang Marrow. Yi Jingyun said in shock, "Father, how come I don't know anything about this matter? This is the first time I've heard of this." Yi Tianxing said, "I didn't want you to know that it was to protect you. I didn't send you to the Tower Question of God Assessment Department to let you shoulder the heavy responsibility of the family. I wanted you to escape this calamity." Sigh. In his heart, Yi Jingyun was eliminated by the tower question of God. Yi Jingyun did not explain any further. After all, his current results were not outstanding, making it difficult for him to successfully enter the tower question of God. Long Fei pondered for a moment, then said, "Clan leader Yi, I would like to know how long it will be before the Longyang marrow is formed." Yi Tianxing looked at Long Fei, a look of caution in his eyes, and he shook his head. "I'm not sure about that either." Yi Jingyun said, "Father, if you know about this, then tell Young Master Long that Young Master Long should need this drop of Longyang marrow. This time Young Master Long has helped us, we should thank him." With regards to Long Fei's cultivation, Yi Tianxing had nothing to say. But this was still the Yi family's foundation. He couldn't possibly let someone outside the Yi family control the Longyang marrow. This was the responsibility of the patriarch. Yi Tianxing slightly said, "I really don't know when it will take shape, I am very sorry." Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "It's nothing, I was just casually asking." They returned back to their temporary residence from Yi Tianxing's courtyard. Nangong Yang immediately said, "Yi Tianxing definitely knows when it will take shape. He didn't say that he stole your Longyang marrow." Long Fei said, "I know, after all, this is the Yi family's foundation, and the Yi family relied on the Longyang marrow to grow." Nangong Yang asked, "Long Fei, do you really need Longyang marrow?" Naturally, refining a sun god authentic artifact was very important. However, Long Fei did not say anything. He just looked at Nangong Yang and asked, "What did you say in the day?" "Day? What did I say during the day?" Nangong Yang stared blankly, then suddenly thought of something as her cheeks flushed red. She immediately said in a low voice, "I'm going to change clothes. Come in later. Lord Pavilion Master, please take revenge for me." Yi Tiancheng kneeled on the ground. In the demonic palace, a man covered in purple light had charming eyes, exuding an aura of death. He stared at Yi Tiancheng, who was on the ground, and asked coldly, "How much time until the day the Longyang marrow is formed?" Yi Tiancheng said, "It's in these few days, there's a possibility any time, maybe it'll take shape right now." Before he could finish his words, suddenly, in the direction of the skyscraper city, a beam of fire soared to the sky from the Yi family's forbidden grounds, like an eruption. Yi Tiancheng suddenly stood up and said, "It's formed, the Longyang marrow is formed. Evil Heaven Pavilion, everyone, move." The corners of Tian Xie's mouth curled up as he looked into the darkness and said softly, "Sir Yang Huang, would you like to take a look as well?" In the darkness, an old man whose body was covered in yellow light smiled and said, "I won't be going." Tian Xie said, "I will bring you Longyang's profound qi in person." With that, he flew out. The old man laughed, "You won't get the Longyang marrow. Because..." The old man paused, "Because the person you are going to face is Long Fei. Good boy. It's finally here, ha ha ha. I've been waiting for you for a long time." You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.